Hello.
Hello, good evening to everyone watching along at home, and something different for tonight's broadcast. We are on the Edge network for tonight, and I'm doing the intro, which is also a throw, because Nether, unfortunately, is unable to make it for his first race night. I think since he started broadcasting on the Outward channel. So it's been different for tonight on the Edge, and so it means that I'm being joined by, or technically I am joining because it's his broadcast, Rory Collins, aka Brap. And Brap, thank you for hosting the broadcast tonight.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, let's hope it goes smooth, and yeah, hope we maybe have Nether back next week. It should be a good night, and yeah, just give everyone something to watch back. Hopefully, that's a pretty good product. Yeah, should be a good night tonight. Got about 20 cars, I think, or just under.
Absolutely. So, something different, and good to have the wide range of cars we got here tonight. I've just seen in the list we've got I've got a few guys in here, but a few names that have popped back in. Some have been out for a little bit, some have been out for a while. We got Dane Liccardo back on the grid again tonight. Good to see him back on there. Also, a name people wouldn't have seen for a little while. We're going back, I think, 2 or 3 years at this point. Corey McFarlane has popped back up. He was driving for AAR, I think, the last time he was here, way back when Luke Rosella's team was being run over here. But he is back. He is just in a guest car tonight. He is running the Castrol Racing throwback that I think Daniel Cox designed based on the Jaguar XJR9. That's one of our guest cars for this season. But we would expect to see a livery of some sort for Corey later in the year. But it'll be interesting because last time he raced, he had access to the 94, which is his race number. But since he left, Daniel Cox has joined with the 94, so he's now going to be running the 094. So I think the second or third time that we've had that actually occur with numbers. I know that we've had 10 and 010. 10 was Anthony Green, and 010 has been me since I started racing. And I think we've had one other instance where people are running the O number ahead of yes, actually no, the obvious one, Will Devonish and Cam Rutledge. But yeah, good to see some of those guys tonight. And there are actually a couple of alternate liveries on the grid as well, and we will go through those at some point. But the drivers should be starting their briefing soon. We're just waiting for a few of them to get off the track and get into the garages so they can actually listen to their briefing. And I suppose while we're sitting here, a good chance to go through what happened so far, so we can look at some of the points.
All right, let's kick it over to the driver standings. Yeah, currently Will Devonish P1, leading 8 points over Kurt Stenberg. Kurt Stenberg can't make it tonight, so that gap will balloon out a little bit. And then ahead of Luke Speck in P3, another about 60 points ahead. Actually, no, 100 points. Yeah. And then as we go down, we got Brent Foley for PBF Race Engineering, the 2 CRE amped up racing cars of Noah Tara and Lachlan Locke, Curtis Igmanis in P7, Daniel Cox in P8, Mitchell Steele Allison in P9, and David McDonald rounding out the top 10. Yeah, and do I have the other bit? Sorry.
You probably will have a second page. Yeah, it's just interesting as we get that up though. Just interesting to look at the person driver sitting at this point. So yeah, Kurt Stenberg on the 8 points off of Will. That is going to hurt him not being here tonight. It will also play back around though, in so much as if Kurt could make the rest of the rounds, which unfortunately I don't believe he can, but if he could, he is going to have a 0-point drop round, which is a nice thing to have in the bag. Will's already got that by virtue of missing Taupo. I think it's only the second or third round he's missed in Supercars since he started racing. And also, at this point, Noah Tara and Lockie look very close on points. I'd expect to see that change. Not that Lockie hasn't had pace this year, but the part of the reason that Noah is where he's at, only just above Locke, is through the 2 DNSs at Surfers. But since then, he's been on a bit of a tear. Of the 5 races he's done, 4 of them have been second or better. So expect to see him launch up the field, probably going to be up past Brendan Foley or possibly Luke Speck. Also, the good bit of, not so good bit of change, but like a bit of a throw, I suppose, is Speck sitting up there in third. Not that we didn't expect him to be doing that well, but just given the caliber of cars on the grid, perspective he's sitting up in third, he's been doing a pretty good job, fairly quietly running, only 2 podiums, but he's doing well.
Yep, and we do have that second page for you all. In 11th, Brandon Dostal, Ryan Smith, P12, P13 Cam Rutledge, P14 Darren Logden, P15 Scott Murrell, and Scott Murrell, I believe, is the first of the wildcards.
Yep.
Yeah, P16 Daryl Callahan, 17th Steve Warwick, 18th Luke Newing, Hans Brunswick P19, good for him, and P20 Ada Williams.
Hans up there off of a single round appearance at Taupo, pair of 8s and a 5th, and shows for Hans's sake that he's really not lost it. A couple of other drivers as well that we've had to see up the order that do currently set us at the top 20. I do believe we do have Ben Hall here tonight. Yes, he's filling one of the SES Shogun cars, so he'll probably move up a little bit in the points. Unfortunately, we don't have Roy Collins on the grid because he's in the box instead. But we also then have Dan Liccardo down in 30th. He's making his... actually, he's going to be third round in a row. He just didn't finish any of the races at Taupo. But also the name I was looking for, which I can't find on this list. Oh, there he is. P23 is Brandon Ross. He's Brandon. Just in trouble for that. Brendan Ross. He's here tonight as well, and he's running in the second of the PBF Race Engineering cars.
All right, and now let's kick it over to the teams points, and with a comfortable, well, maybe not too comfortable this early in the season, but a handy 200-point lead for CRE Engineering over CRE Amped Up Racing over CRE Anson Motorsport. So taking out the podium is all the CRE Engineering cars. P4.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying, there's a pretty standard thing for how Supercars is faring, but they're doing a good job stacking their teams. P4 is PBF Engineering, which aren't too far off CRE Anson, actually. Mainly, I think, due to a lack of availability sometimes for Phil Boak, but 2 cars again tonight with Brendan Ross there, so that'll be a good fight for them. SES Shogun in 5th. The wild card there will be Ben Hall in that second car as to how well he's going to do filling in for Luke Newing. 6th is Vortex Racing Team. They've just got a single car here tonight. I believe Darren was trying to court Angus Brown to jump in, but unfortunately Angus isn't up for racing tonight. Anti-Hall Autosports will slip with just Kurt Stenberg. Litwich Racing, they got both their cars here tonight. Litwich by ACS. That's just Dostler tonight. I'm not seeing anything from Ethan, who actually did say he was unavailable. And PBF by ACS, which is second of my 3 teams, is going to slip behind my other team probably by the end of tonight because none of their drivers are here. And Steve Warwick is at least here for Renshaw PBF Blackshaws in 11th. So I expect to see a swap at the back end of the top 10 in points.
Yep. All right. Well, we got, I think, a few more minutes before we kick over to quali. Let's hit up the track intro and see where we're actually racing tonight, if it wasn't already obvious. Well, we're in the west of Wanneroo Raceway in Perth. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting track, quite a short one. Yeah, traffic's always a big factor, especially when it comes to quali and the varying strategies of tyres. Yeah, only 7 turns, so not too much to remember, but yeah, a few of them can catch you out, especially around turn 5, 6 and 7.
Yeah, it's a great little track. Simmons, similar length or basically the same length to Simmons. Barbagallo. Similar length to Simmons is what I was getting to in my head. Very different characteristic though. Simmons is the pork chop. It's half of it is a straight line. It's really not very technical sort of a track. Very good track to get a pass going on as well because of the simple nature. This one we've seen this year on year where the strategy for this track is really about setting yourself up well in setting up yourself well in terms of getting the passing done, because you have to plan 3 or 4 or 5 corners ahead to get a pass done. You do set yourself well, and sometimes your pass will take a lap to get done just through to how things play out. So it'll be interesting to see how guys go tonight. The other thing that is a concern for the guys with tonight is tyre wear, and it was a similar thing with Dev Series last week. But soft is the preferred tyre, what I'm hearing, but you're going to have to make it last.
Well, yeah, and we've got an extra 4 laps and a bit less grip than the cars last week. So, yeah, it will definitely be interesting because softs were, at least from what I saw, pretty borderline even with those cars. So, a bit extra saving, but there is also a bit more setup freedom, which might aid the tyre wear this week. So I believe we're almost about to tick over.
Yeah, we shouldn't be too far off of that. I'm just juggling 5 things at once, but I will get that sorted now.
Let's just tick over to some trackside footage. So yeah, I guess where we've ended up in practice right now, we got Will Devonish on the top, followed by Noah Tara and Scott Morrill. So a CRE top 3 lockout in this practice so far, with Luke Speck the first non-CRE car. Oh, looks like we've ticked over now. Right.
Yeah, it is. It is a challenging call with trying to make calls at the end of practice, because some drivers, we used the term before, and I can use the term I think a bit more liberally tonight. But we like to use the term where people actually set a representative time of people flopping their dick out and actually showing us, what they've got in store. Some of those guys will do it in practice. I think the good example would be Steele Allison. He's currently sitting 7th on practice times, but he was up there very early indeed. And we're seeing a bit of calamity at the end of pit lane, people trying to get in, and I think there's a bit of the box out happening.
There's a lot going. Someone's
there's not even. Okay, I think we're going 3 wide at a point there with all the CRE cars of LMR in there. I feel okay. I've seen one courteous action so far in the pit lane. It was Steve Warwick lending Brenton Foley, and otherwise it's been a real free for all. We haven't even got to the racetrack yet.
All right. So it should be any times now. Ticking over to green. This is actually pretty long hold. Here we go, green, and now it's the drag race out. I was thinking it was Daniel Cox going to make it out first, but for all that, looks like Scott Morrill's made it out first.
It has, yeah. So, I was about to lead into that. Scott Morrill running the CU in the NT livery that actually is an alternate for Cam Rutledge, but I think CRE have decided, given the amount of time that Scott's been spending in the Supercars Series, he's, as we pointed out earlier, he's 15th on the driver's standings. He is the best placed of the guest drivers. Probably a good idea for him to have a permanent car or a semi-permanent car, at least livery-wise, him to sit in for the rest of the year. So he might get promoted mid-year. We don't know. He's been pretty quick in Dev Series, but as things are sitting, he's just a guest driver, and he is leading that field out in the CU and the NT number 015. And he's just coming around now to start that lap. So we're going to get a good idea of the way that this track flows. So he's just coming out of turn 1 now. So 2nd, 3rd gear run for him there. Pretty good run through. Then through here, you're really sort of balancing the car. You're not far off wanting to shift up to 5th gear as you come up through the back part of the circuit and up over the hump. And this is really the complex part of the track done, at least in theory. You come down the hill into the bold downhill braking zone. Your brake bias set up for turn 1 means you're going to lock the rears here and have troubles getting it stopped. Or you do the alternative, which is Murrell's just done, which is throw the rears out on exit and hamper your run down the big back straight. Over the rise that we've seen a few Super 2 guys die on in past years. Into the last corner, you don't want to touch that curb because it will roll cars. And pretty good run over the final corner, and Mike's not too different to Simmons. The lap is done in 54.899 seconds. Pretty good run. Already topped by McFarlane. Good to see McFarlane up there. And actually, as the rest of the time's trickling in, McFarlane looking pretty good already.
Indeed, it seems to be sticking once the first 8-9 cars have gone through. So, yeah, very good time out the gate. Let's see if it'll stick. I'm assuming not, because you seem to just get faster and faster as Scott Morrill goes off and almost takes out a virtual marshal. Let's see what the split is coming to the second sector line for Corey McFarlane. And just down, but not far, so it could still be an improvement on this lap. Let's see as he comes through the final corner. Bit of a lock-up. It's probably not going to be an improvement, and he comes into the pit lane.
Yeah, so he's decided that wasn't worth pushing around again. He'll go out and get another set of soft tyres and go again. And one thing to note different to Dev Series last week, these guys are not going to be locked to their compound from qualifying to race. So expect to see everybody out there on the soft tyre.
As that was happening, Noah Tara on his second lap goes to the top by a tenth and a little bit. And throughout the field, Dave McDonald up a few positions, going 3/10 quicker than his previous lap to P5. Bit of traffic on pit exit as everyone sorts it out. We're on watching with Brandon Dossel here, up almost a 10th.5. Coming through the dust bowl now. Let's see if he can get the traction down. Appears not.
He's doing all right, Dostal, to be up in 10th off that first run. He's just ahead of Brendan Ross, actually, and Darren Long. He's put out of that lap to let Still Allison through. Still Allison was the quick one early in practice. We were talking like first lap, an hour into the session early, so very, very early. But we're going to see how he does. So effectively, I think outlaps for the both of them there, or a very sort of quicker lap for Still Allison. So they will push around. Dostal probably hoping to get a bit of a slipstream and maybe a bit of a guide off of Still Allison. I know he was trying to get some assistance from Specky earlier on getting a follow around just to see where the couple of tenths were that he was missing.
Lap time still coming in, not much change up the top. Curtis Igmanis up to P3. And yeah, rest seems pretty close. And we're going to watch a lap here with Lock and Lock, see if he can bring up times, but seems like he's a bit far back already, 10th.5. We'll just stick with it through the dust bowl, see if it gets any better. Yeah. Pretty smooth. Car looks fairly stable. As I say that, cracks it out sideways a bit, but yeah, okay.
A little bit of it would have been a little bit of slipstream off of Steve Warwick there, but the car maybe not quite behaving the way he wants to. Up in 8th currently is a good run for Lockie Lock, although a few guys still yet to set representative times, really times at all. The key amongst those, disconnected from the session is why I can't find him. Will Devonish not appearing in this session list, so he will have disconnected at some point, which is unfortunate. So he's going to be starting off the back for race number 1.
And just as we were yapping, Scott Morrell's gone to the top by a 10th.
He has, yeah. He hasn't managed to improve that lap around. He was 1.3 off of that, but yeah, in the last couple of minutes, Scott Murrell up to the top, and Tara then still sitting in second. The good news story from all that, actually, McFarlane's improved again to put himself above Noah Tara. So good to see how McFarlane's getting on, given that the last time he was driving in ASR is going to be 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't think he's driven the Gen 3 machinery outside of this week. So really good to see that he's adapting well. I know he's been running a bit of iRacing in his meantime, so probably getting a little bit of experience with Gen 3 over there. And actually, he's up again, purple first sector for him there as he comes up and over into the dust bowl. So perhaps a run at pole here for the 55.
And we've just had Noah Tara slip into P2. It's all going quickest by a 10th over Scott Morrell's current time, Corey McFarlane. Let's see how he goes into the last corner. A little bit of a lock-up that may have given it away. Doesn't look the quickest, but could be close. And just down on his personal best. Let's see, anyone else lining up the timing right now? Got Brendan Foley cracking it out sideways.
That's pretty standard fare at this point.
Very true. Luke Speck also cracking it sideways. It seems like the dust bowl is a bit of a pain point for a lot of these people with this car. Yeah. But if you can get the run out, it seems it's a bit of a sacrifice that has to be made. Luke Speck's slightly up on his PB. Probably won't be able to make up any positions if it stays that close to his PB, but we'll see as he comes across the line. Small improvement, but no position.
Yeah, only what was that, 200s or something. Not much in it, but when you're doing a 54-second lap, there's really not too much of a difference between positions. Corey McFarlane's actually just improved again further, so he's gone up above Scott Murrell to do a 54.442, and that was via a personal best in the second and third sectors. So Scott Murrell, I believe, still the quickest car in the first sector, but it's to take a bit of work across the lap to sort the rest of that out.
Just cut to Mitchell Still Allison here, and he's up a 10th.5 on his personal best. This could be a good time here. Vault him up towards the top 5 potentially. He's up 3 tenths now. This would almost slot him into the top 5 if he keeps up this pace. As he comes into the last corner, looks good. Looks really good. Let's see. Comes across the line. And it's P6 just off the top 5. Good improvement.
Yeah, pretty good. And he's only, ironically, only .074 off of the 074 in his team boss in Brendan Foley. So good running for those two cars. I think they're just waiting now on Brendan Ross and actually, I suppose, Steve Warwick to come up with a little as well. Steve Warwick currently down in 17th. I expect he'll improve a little bit. And Brendan Ross currently just outside, or actually, sorry, he's just inside the 10. Actually, he's just got ahead of Brandon Dostal for that 10th spot.
Brandon Dostal's coming back now, though, with a improvement on his personal best. This might slot him back ahead just of Brendan Ross. Let's see, as he come across line. And yes, he's stolen it back off Rossi into the top 10.
Yeah, so they're fighting over very little margins there. That was improvement by just over a 10th over Brendan Ross, and Rossi is out on track right now. I think he's on an out lap, so we're going to probably see a response from Rossi within the next minute or so, or we'll definitely start the lap within the next 10 seconds. It'll be done, about the next minute. Is there anybody else really looking good? Still, Allison had a pretty good lap that last time through. Couple of improvements. Obviously, Dostal, Darren Lognan made a small improvement as well on his PB. But actually, Noah Tara's looking pretty quick out there as well right now. And that'll be why he's just gone to first.
Very good. We're just watching with Steve Warwick, about a 10th up on his personal best. This should pop him up a few spots. Actually, maybe not. But improvement. Up 2.5 tenths, but still in P18. Now let's see if Nawatara's making any more time. Appears not. You only get probably about 2 good laps out of a tyre, I want to say. Really 1, but you could probably stretch out 2. So yeah, I imagine people are probably having 2-3 cracks at it in this session if they don't waste too much time. Oh, as I say that, Nawatara going quicker. Good run through the dust bowl.
So up through the second sector. At the moment, Scott Murray with a PB in the first sector. McFarlane was up on first, but also down on his PB through the first sector. I'm interested to see as they've come through the second sector. So Noah across the line, 54.404 for the other two to beat. McFarlane's about to come. Actually, no, Murray will be next across the line, and Murray doesn't improve. McFarlane, though, does improve, so he takes the 55 to pole position, and actually it might be, if not the first in a while that we've had a guest car and a guest driver taking pole position in supercars.
Oh. As we cut to the start-finish line, Ryan Smith facing the wrong way. We got, I want to say that's all the laps now. Doesn't look like anyone's... Oh, Daniel Cox crossed the line, and then I believe that is it. That's all she wrote. Yeah, pretty interesting quali. Bit of chopping and changing. Yeah, can't say I would have seen McFarlane taking pole right off the bat. And also Scott Murray on P3, that's quite impressive. Though, yeah, if you saw his pace in the Super 2 round, maybe not a complete surprise to everyone.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty good, and at least for him, he's found some tracks that really play well with him. Dev Series at Barbagallo was an example of that, and it makes sense that generally, and that's not unique to Scott, I suppose, but if you find a track that you're familiar with and you know your way around the car, that you can be quick in any car you're thrown at on that track. But good to see Scott up there as well, and it's interesting, partially I think just by virtue of the fact we lost Will during that session, so we didn't get a chance at a time, but sort of in the power vacuum that's created by having no Will in qualifying and having no Kurt at all tonight, that obviously Noah Tara being up the pointy end makes sense, and also Curtis Martis has done pretty nicely to be up in fourth. But yeah, McFarlane and Murrell up there to fill in the gap.
Yeah, so yeah, shouldn't be too long till we hit a race start, I believe, a couple minutes. So yeah, guess we can talk over the actual race format real quick, if I can get that up. We're professionals here. All right. Yeah, so yeah, 2 races tonight, both 42 laps. Don't believe CPS, but you'd be doing a lot of work to not pit here, especially, most people would be opting for the softs at least one point in this race because the pace deficit of a hard is too much to make up for, even cutting out a stop. And they do have the option of both tyres today. Softs, should be the main choice of drivers tonight, but given a odd time safety car, the hards may make an appearance tonight. A little bit of fuel will be needed in the stop, not too much. That should be covered by the tyres if they start with a fairly heavy load tonight. Those are, I guess, the main talking points tonight.
Yeah, so a few drivers will be out now in warm-up, just trying, probably you're right, so trying out the strategies, trying out their options as well. Definitely practicing their starts as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if you were also going to practice, or maybe even consider just thinking all the way through their outlap onto the grid, because we have seen that in the past where you'll set a fuel strategy and you'll be good to go, and then you forget to calculate for the outlap, and you find yourself short by a litre at the end of the race. And around a track like this, a litre is probably about a third of the track. That's going to be quite important if you're in a tight battle. But as per usual, as we saw in qualifying, bit of a heavy rush of guys out of pit lane. I can see. I think that's either Brendan Ross or Brendan. It's Brendan Foley that I'm watching that was getting mildly harassed by Brandon Dostal there on the run through the bowl. He's just gotten through. So most of them probably heading around to get a start in, because at a track like this, a good start does really matter. And actually, the interesting one to see would be how Will Devonish does off the back of the grid, because he's gotten better with them. And I'm going to get yelled at specifically for mentioning this, but occasionally I suppose the traditional Will Devonish starts do creep in. But he's got really no excuse this time, given that he's got no one behind him. So it'll be very obvious if he's managed to bottle a start, and also he's going to make the life a little bit harder for himself with 40. It does have 42 laps of racing, but few guys have never had the chance to race well for a position, and I think they're very much going to make him earn the position, given the once in a blue moon chance they're having tonight.
Yeah, no, it'd definitely be very interesting to see Will off the back, because there's only been at least 2 or 3 times in recent history where he's had a rough starting spot, but that's because of the either reverse grids, which you sort of can't avoid, or unfortunate result in a previous race of a continued grid round. He can definitely make it up. I've seen it firsthand, and it's quite scary when he's in your mirror sometimes. But be interesting. I think you'll need a safety car to be able to make anything, make the podium. But I wouldn't, cross out a top 5 for Will tonight in the first race. Few people making practice starts, I guess, just feeling what the grip level's like, and just sort of marking out their braking point for turn 1, given be a bit slower of a entry speed. Past years, it's been a bit of a pressure point turn 1, especially at this track. People just trying to make up the positions while they can, and results in someone facing backwards in the fence, unfortunately. So we'll see if we can make it all through, make it clean through tonight.
Yeah, so I just want to say, and the other thing as well, which I was to keep in mind, the same thing that we had last week, a few things from last round, as well. It's a 42 lap race. You don't need to be the hero on lap 1, turn 1, or lap 1 in general. You can stage your race out, but also maybe a consideration, especially with how pitting is going to play out in this race. Lap traffic would definitely be something to consider, especially if definitely around pit window, because you lose more or less a lap, but also if we have a long period without a safety car, we might find some of the guys at the back, not through a lack of pace at their end, but just from the difference of pace from the front end to the back. Also, maybe some of the guys that are trying maybe a hard strat or pushing long versus the guys that are sitting out there on the softs. So a few things for the drivers to be considering as we go into the race tonight.
Yeah, and we're just ticking down warm-up now, about a minute left. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Because it'd be interesting with the pit window and all. See if people go for the undercut or the overcut. I believe undercut probably is the way to go with the deg toward the end of the stints. But yeah, the undercut does pay a pretty hefty price come the end of that second stint with the tyre hanging on by a few threads.
Yeah, I will say, based on what I've heard, both for Dev Series and for some of the drivers tonight for Supercars, I think realistically, as much as people might want to under and overcut, it'd be by a lap, if anything. And I think a lot of guys without a safety car are going to probably cut the race straight in the middle and just run 21-21. They won't try and play undercuts or overcuts. They'll just race what they get given, because I know guys that have been running stints have been coming in with essentially just carcass hanging off the rims, and doesn't leave you much wiggle room either end of the stint. You might get more out of the car in the second stint because you can run the fuel down to basically zero, and maybe you get slightly better tyre wear there, but I'm not sure if that's going to be worth a lap or two for some people. We might find that they're split very evenly, and it could be a very boring racing strategy. But what that could mean then is safety car at some point, and especially if guys are feeling a little iffy on tyres, that's going to increase the chances of one. We're going to see a very busy pit lane, but then a very jumbled idea of strategy, because some people are going to want to stay out to take advantage of position. Some people are going to dive in and then try and work their way back up to the field. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, no. Just jogging my memory, the yellows are the hards, correct?
It's one of those things where I've looked at that many times that I should know this off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I believe easy way to tell is when the server ticks over, because everybody will get thrown back to soft tyres, I would assume. But I'm pretty sure, looking at the majority of the field, I'm pretty sure the whites are the soft tyre,
Yep.
and that the yellows are the hard. But don't quote me on that, because I've got that wrong 3 or 4 times every other time we've run the tyre compounds. I should know this.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think the problem is that the tyres. I can't remember now. I was convinced at one point that we ran the tyre colours differently to F1, and that's my tyre reasonable knowledge of tyre compound colours. But then I can't remember. We'll find out basically. Keep an eye on what tyres everyone has at the start. Keep an eye on who pits at lap 19. If people don't pit, then we can confirm that their colour is the hard colour.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm fairly confident, the yellow is the hard, and it looked like a few people were practicing a start on the hard. So, yeah, be interesting. Looks like there'll probably be a few split strategies, and we are just ticking over now. Okay, yep. So gridding will commence.
One can start getting themselves sorted. What's your one thing we didn't actually talk about within all that, Rory? Who's your favourite for a win?
Oof. If I'm being smart with my money, I'd probably have to go Noah Tara. But if I'm going a bit interesting, I have faith in Scott Murrell. He'll pull it off tonight.
That's a good call. I think I'm going to probably favour Murrell for his experience as well, but Tara is going to be a pretty good challenge for that.
Right, final cars just gridding up now. Just 1 or 2 missing. Then we'll walk you through our grid for race 1 of round 5. All right. Launching it off the pole in the Tickford Racing 55 guest car, Corey McFarlane. First pole for him for a while, or maybe first pole outright. I don't go that far back into ASR history.
I'm going to say confidently first pole in Gen 3. I think that's as far as I'll reliably give us right now.
That's a bit of a cop out. In P2, Noah Tara for CRE Amped Up Racing. Given his position in the standings, both team and driver, this should be a good points haul for him if he can keep it up there, while the other few buried back a bit further. Scott Murrell, P3, very good result for him. Curtis Igmanis in P4, followed by Brenton Foley in the PBF Race Engineering 74 in P5. P6, Mitchell Steele-Allison, very, very good result for him, and yes, last week's Dev Series Race 2 winner. P7 for Luke Speck in the SES Shogun 13, followed by Dave McDonald, followed by Lachlan Locke and Brandon Dostal rounding out the top 10. Next we have Brendan Ross, Darren Logden, Ryan Smith, Steve Warwick, Daniel Cox out of position, Dane Liccardo ahead of him in P16, Darryl Callahan, P17, P18 for Ben Hall, and coming from the back, Will Devonish in the CRE Engineering number 15.
It is a nice thing. It's a nice thing to opportunity to have though, to call Will Devonish starting from the back. It's not happening too many times. And normally when you call someone from the back like that's because they've had a penalty, not because they've fluffed qualifying in some way. But Will's getting his revenge. He's taking the sweet time, keeping his tyres warm, making sure everyone else's tyres are cold as he gets to the grid.
All right, 5 lights. Or maybe 5, don't know. And away we go, boogity boogity. Ben Hall with a drive-through penalty, and it's chaos in the back, but everyone's facing the right way. Noah Tara with a quick start, and Corey McFarlane following in P2, followed by Scott Murrell and Brandon Dostal around in the background. Looks like he'll get it gathered up, but that'll cost him about 10 or so positions here.
That will dropped him down to the back, although he's going to gain 1 spot back when Ben Hall serves his drive-through. So 2 spots up for Will Devonish already, and he's just nibbling on the back of Darryl Callahan for 16th place.
Steele Allison up 2 positions, very good start from him. On the back of Scott Murrell, looking in on a early podium here today.
Well, very early to make the call for podiums as we're about to end lap 1. But it's a pretty good start for Mitch, and actually a bit of a mistake there for Corey McFarlane and Scott Murrell. I wouldn't say he's not paying him any kindness, but he's very much has saw the door and, if gapped car and up the inside and he's through. And actually still Allison as well on the run up to turn 1. So McFarlane, he's got the pace, but I think the one thing that's gonna hamper him tonight is that he hasn't raced any of these guys, or he hasn't raced any of these guys in 2 or 3 years, and in some of them, the case of, I think, Scott Murrell, Steele Allison, maybe even Noah Tara. I'm not sure he's raced these guys in supercars, period. So he's going to have to figure out how to get his elbows out over the course of tonight.
I'm going to bring it up now. Corey McFarlane on the on alternate tyres here, which I believe is the hards. So that may explain does explain, I guess, the pace deficit right off the bat.
It does. So it'll be interesting to see then, McFarlane, if we are, and I think we're pretty confidently going to say based on that start that he is running the hard tyre. It'll be interesting to see how his strategy plays out, because with a soft tyre it's a pretty even split. With a hard tyre, probably going to push out to sort of lap 25, lap 30, and then coming in for a set of softs after that. But we're interesting to see how that one plays out McFarlane. So his big challenge now is actually not what's in front of him. His big challenge now, based off Pate's differential, is he's got Luke Speck, Dan McDonald, and Lockie Locke all chasing him down for what would be P4.
Looks like a few people just settling into the choo-choo train right now, just to make sure those tyres last. Bit more aggro towards the back though. And is that Will Devonish already up 6 spots? Yes, it is. Right on the back of Ryan Smith.
Yeah, so he's already processed through Callahan and Ross. Also mistakes that we missed for Cox and Steve Warwick. They've both dropped some positions, and obviously Ben Hall has served his drive-through. But Will Devonish already through on, or just through on Ryan Smith there. Now he's at a bit of a gap before he gets to Darren Lognan. I would hope, not that I'm saying nobody else has, but I do hope Darren puts up a bit of a fight for him.
Well, I don't think there will be much, because it looks like Ryan Smith and Darren are also running that alternate hard tyre strategy. But we'll see. He's definitely not laying over, but I don't think he has much of a choice with a hard charging wheel on the soft tyres.
I will say he's doing a good job of checking the train up, because Ryan got into the back of Will there a couple of corners ago and nearly put around.
Darren's gone off. Crunch.
Crunch. I think that's a crunch and an out actually for Darren. It is.
It is.
So I'm not sure whether that was engine damage in a downshift or whether he's made the wall and done it there. But that's an early out for Darren. I was looking at him and he was telling me about trying the Chastain line in practice. But if it was trying to be the Chastain line, that was the wrong entry for it. He started a lot earlier.
Quickly just crack it to a replay here and just, miss the brake zone, no grip out in the dust. And, very easy to, blow an engine here in these cars, especially with the increased damage that we run.
Yeah, the increased damage for this year, and also I think just a quirk of the game with how sensitive the front of these cars are. So that's a shame for Darren. He's going to be starting from the back for race number 2.
Yeah, and just missed it, but Luke Speck has made a pass on Corey McFarlane too for P4. Damon McDonald doesn't look like too far behind and doing the same.
Yeah, so
as we say,
McFarlane. A little bit of a touch there between the two of them. And I think he's starting to get the hours up now, McFarlane. He's recognised that very much he's running his own race. He doesn't have to worry about the guys around him are doing as fast as that for Will Devonish. Big surprise there. But he doesn't have to worry about what the cars around him are doing too much. But if he drops like a stone through the field, he's going to struggle to get back on them once he's got the fresher soft tyres at the back end of this race. So I think he's starting to put a bit of a fight now. Maybe also, we've talked about this in the past, the issues with trying to get the tyres up to temp on the hard compound. Maybe he's just got them there now, given the short lap. Maybe it's taking him the best part of 6 laps to get those tyres up to temp, because he is starting to look a little bit more alive now. He has got himself back clear of Dan McDonald and actually seems to be angling perhaps for a move on Spec, although I think given the tyre differential we probably won't see that unless Spec runs wide like that.
Right. And he's cleared him even before 1. Let's see if Dane McDonald, he goes through too. Yep. 2 for 1 special, but not in the good way for Luke Spec.
So yeah, Specky back to 6th, and probably the smart move there from Specky. I think he saw that McDonald was coming through and just thought, look, early days of the race, probably better to just sort of let him roll through and have a crack back at him when he's sort of got his marbles back together. But on we go.
Corey McFarlane really making these hards work as well as you can. Only 4 seconds off the lead after 7 or so laps. So, we'll see what that delta is by the time we get to about lap 21 or so. But doing a good job so far.
Yeah, so the window of a pit stop, including transit time, is something in the region of 30-40 seconds. It's fundamentally not far off a lap around this place. So, not that he's really trying to worry about losing a pit margin's worth of time, because he's going to do the same amount of stops as everyone else. He's just going to do the one. He's just changing when he does it. But you don't want to put yourself at risk of being a lap down. Actually, no, the soft runners actually be a concern of that, putting himself a lap down to him. But yeah, he's doing a good job holding with the leaders. Not far off, obviously. He's just outside the slipstream range of Steele Harrison. That said, Steele Harrison was one of the ones who was finding the tyres. Well, he'd found they made a stint, but not much more. So I think he's having to go in a bit of conservation for his tyres now that he's broken clear. And actually, we're finding that now Corey Allison and Cohen, his trainer, are starting to pull back in on Steele Allison now. But yeah, Noah Tara still clearing out pretty happily. He's got about a 2-second lead over Scott Murrell. In turn, Murrell with about a 2-second lead now, not far off over Steele Allison. But Steele Allison very much a threat, looking at the way that McFarlane and McDonald
contacted
and Co
the
are coming.
One.
Yeah, just a little nudge.
Giving it back to him here. Putting up a good fight. I think that's what you wanted to see between Darren and Will. Looks like Dane will give us the action we want. And he's giving him another nudge. Don't know how much longer. I think Will's going to try and get out of there as quick as possible.
It is, yeah. Good to see Dane putting up a fight. Good to see good energy from, good effort from Dane as well. Obviously, we have seen him the past few rounds, but generally speaking, the Gen 3 cars haven't gelled well with him. But I think he's doing pretty well tonight. Probably with perhaps with a bit of help from Specky's setups. Being in an SES car, but he's doing pretty well. Actually, both the SES cars are doing pretty well at this point. Not doing quite so well based on... Actually, no, he did improve at qualifying, actually. So, Dan Liccardo currently running around in 10th. He's got about a 1.5 seconds back to Brenton Foley. And then 2 seconds back from that, we got Ryan Smith currently hitting his own little train for 12th. And not something I thought I'd be saying, but Ryan Smith is leading Brendan Ross. Although I've just said that, he's thrown it wide.
Two people are going off.
Ryan, I've thrown him off the track there, and Callahan also widened the.
He's actually made the
track there as well.
Must have been an oil spill or something there. That was Oh, and Ryan's died again.
Yep. Well, up until that point, it was a bit of monkey see, monkey do, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ryan's gone off into late sympathy for having caused Callahan to go off.
Quickly cut to a replay of everything.
Oh, actually, actually, I've just realised why. I think there might be a tyre puncture, perhaps for. Oh no, sorry, Ryan's on hards. Sorry.
Oh, it could still be a puncture, contact puncture, but.
Oh no, actually, sorry, sorry, I was right. There is a puncture on the front left, so that's why he's crashed the second and now the third time he's clipped the bowl as well.
All right. Well, we'll stay on for a little bit. We'll using our fast forward technologies. Oh, yep, and he's kept it running though, unlike Darren Logden in the wall down there. All right.
Yeah, probably slower impact or maybe just a shallower angle, which avoided causing too much damage to the car. But he is now into the lane, so he's in a really, not to put too fine a word on it, he's in a bit of a shit spot. Actually, he's decided he's in a shit spot. He's decided not pitting. He's driven it straight into the truck. So I think Ryan's out for race 1. We hopefully might see him back for race 2.
McFarlane trying to make a move on Allison around the outside there into the final corner. Looks like Allison's tyres may be past their prime.
Well, yeah, we are at the 12-lap mark. It's this race does go quick. We're only 10 minutes in, but yeah, 12 laps through. So the guys on softs, if they're pushing as hard as, well, I mean, they are, I suppose, in the case of Steele Allison at least. Yeah, those softs are going to feel pretty second-hand at this point, and McFarlane's just probably getting into the good window of those hards. That and because they've just been in a train, McDonald's been pretty good in the specs, not too far off as well on tyres, so I think Steele Allison's going to be pretty vulnerable at this point. I think he's almost going to maybe even want to consider coming in early and putting hards on, maybe for the rest of the race, depending on what his tyre wear plays out like.
Yeah, McFarlane barging his way through at the Dust Bowl. Allison having a look around the outside, and he's giving him a nudge in the final corner. Bit rude, but play on.
Well, I mean, it is touring car racing. Touring car racing is supposed to be a contact sport to some degree, not quite going the 90s BDCC style, but...
he's slotted it down the inside, but doesn't have the run.
Yeah, it's a weird thing given that McFarlane should have better tyres at this point, and yet his car is dancing around, whereas Steele Allison's actually looking pretty stable. Maybe it's a bit of aero off the rear wing a bit of air that's been sucked off the rear wing by the 24, but a little bit unstable in the cockpit of the 55, but he's doing pretty well.
Watching the exit out the Dust Bowl. Pretty even on the traction. I'd say even McFarlane a smidge better. See if Allison has a crack into the last corner. I'd say he's too far back, yeah. A bit of a lock-up though from McFarlane, but nothing too bad. Let's go through the field. Oh, and that's Will Devonish past his teammate Curtis Igmanis also. I think that top 5 is probably on for Will here.
I'd say so. He's only positions off it so far. The big question for Will will be where those tyres are at, given how hard he's been pushing.
Foley almost off at 1. Bit of a locker with Dane Liccardo not too far behind now. Seems to be heating up a little bit here. Oh, and Foley's also another of the hard runners. Just picking up on that now. So we'll see Dane on the softs, this Foley on the hards.
Yeah, so more than likely Dane's going to be through probably in the next couple of laps, but probably to the lane not too long after that. So we'll probably see the back end. We'll probably see this race again in the back end of the race as Foley's tyres start to age off a little bit, and as Dane comes back to it.
Rossi making a move on the inside of Dostal, won't be able to pull it up. Maybe on the exit. Seems like he got a bit better of a run through the mid corner. Eyeing it up, but Dostal blocking early there.
Yeah, a bit of a gamble blocking, I suppose. Oh, I mean, block early, I suppose, is a good thing in so much as you make it very clear to the guy you're racing what you're doing. But an early block like that very much telegraphs what you're doing. And Rossi's been around the traps a little bit. I think 5th or 6th. No, sorry, 7th year of sim racing this year for Brandon Ross, at least within ASR, and he's gonna sort of probably play with him a little bit. That said, Ross is another one on the hard tyres, from what I can tell. So he's going to... Basically, he's going to end up passing Dostal on track in a couple of laps regardless. It's just a case of whether he does it through pace or through strategy.
Trying to get the over-under here. Seems like he got balked a little bit mid-corner, which put a dampener on those plans. And he's very late lunge. Good move. Will he make it stick? Both struggling for traction. Yep, and Dostal prevails for another sector. See if
he's really eking this one out. It's very much a when rather than an if, and Dostal, I think, is just trying to delay the inevitable right now. To a degree, he's helping himself. If he can get Ross to burn up more of his tyres, that maybe forces Ross to pit a lap earlier, forces Ross to be on slightly worse soft tyres at the back end of the race, which might help Dostal out if they're going to be racing each other for position at the end of this. But he's also going to be perhaps burning a little bit of heat and frustration in the cockpit of the 046, and to be fair, might even be burning a little bit of frustration in the cockpit of the 76 as well. And to a degree, a little bit of angst helps with the racing, but a bit too much, and you put yourself in trouble. So hopefully he's playing smart under that helmet.
Don't want to spoil his plans, but we've just had a pit confirm come up for Brandon Dostal, so we'll see. He might be in the next lap or so.
Well, he's pretty early for calling for pits then. The only other driver I've seen, Will Devonish had, but that makes sense given he's currently in 4th, having driven his way up through the field. And Steele Allison also calling for pits this early, but well, we've seen his car behaviour of recent, so that makes a bit of sense. So McDonald's now up to 2nd, and actually driver I've missed pitting and all of that as well, I believe, as McFarlane comes to the lane. Scott Morrow, I think, has been through the lane as well because he's down in 16th.
Yep. And we've just seen Ross go through on Dostal. Oh, and yeah, it's a pit frenzy here. Allison, McFarlane, and Devonish. And McFarlane starting on the hards. That's an early stop for them.
That's a really early stop for a hard runner, as in a stop where... Okay, that's confusing.
That's a...
actually...
Is his engine on fire? Oh, and I believe
it is.
We're having a pit.
We're having a pit party. Oh yeah, we're having a pit party up front there. Dostal and Steele Allison sharing, or not sharing a pit room, but sharing adjacent bays, and they're not really enough space. But I do believe that McFarlane has managed to toast his engine. I'm not sure whether it was through damage or maybe coming to the pit lane limiter and just bang down to the gears.
And that's out. That's all she wrote. Let's see if we can catch the point of death with the replay real quick. Sorry folks, we'll catch up to the pictures once this great game rewinds enough. Come on, game.
Yep, I've just caught it. He did a very quick F1-esque shift from 6th down to 3rd for the last corner. And so when he rolled into the pit lane, he wasn't actually on his pit lane limiter. He was just lucky that his pit bay was close enough that he could trundle down with no engine. So that would be why he pitted that early, because he had no engine, and he pulled in to retire the car. So that's a shame for McFarlane, because he was running very well there up until that point. Was starting to look like he might bring the race back to him with that hard tyre strat. So shame for McFarlane. Hopefully he's picked up a few lessons from that though, and can have another better crack in race 2. And what that's done is completely meant that we've missed half the strategies around pitting. So guys that have been through the lane, Spec's currently running around. I think he's he'll be one of the guys still out there, even he's out there on the softs. I think the first of the pitters is, well, actually McDonald's in the lane now as well, would be Noah Taro back in 8th. So everybody in front hasn't pit yet. Of that though, some of them are on hards, and actually Tara's come in and bolted on the hards. So Steve Rourke's still out there on the hards, Rossi on the hards, Dane's out there on the softs, although they're going to be feeling pretty used at this point. Foley out there on the hards, Termo out there on the softs, so he'll be in, I imagine, soon, and Specky out there on the softs as well. So there's a few guys that will filter off in the next couple of laps, but the rest of the guys ahead of Noah Taro currently are on the same tyre as Noah, just running obviously 20 more laps on that set of hard tyres. Be interesting to see when they decide to peel in.
Indeed. Yeah, just in all that, we saw Mitchell, Steele Ellison, and Brandon Dossel having a bit of a touch up in pit lane, and yeah, that seems to have cost Mitchell about 15 seconds to the lead from where he was before that pit cycle begun. So that's a bit unfortunate. So yeah, the effective gap is about 5.8 seconds between Toro and Murrell right now. Let's see, what tyre did Murrell bolt on? He also bolted on the hards. And then
yeah, I get the impression, especially given the fact that everybody has, well, not everybody, but most of the guys have been to the lane, or most of the soft runners, sorry, have been to the lane before the lap 21 mark. One of the exceptions at the moment being, or three exceptions being the lead soft runners in Spec, Igmanis, and Liccardo. Outside of those guys, everybody who's on softs pitted before lap 21 and I think went to the hard tyres. So be interesting to see what Spec and Liccardo do there now in the lane. So Igmanis is the only one staying out. So I expect Igmanis to come back around and put softs on again, given he's made half distance on those set. But be interesting to see from these two. Spec, I imagine, if he reckons he can make softs work, he'll be on softs. Liccardo hasn't had the same sort of practice time this week, though. So whether Specky's setups is in his ear strategy-wise, he is running them as a sponsor this year. We will see in a few seconds as the 35 comes out of pit lane.
That is a second set of softs for Luke Spec, and I suspect the same for Dane Liccardo. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so there is going to be three runners out here on soft tyres at the end of this race, or at least, well, they're at the end of this race. Luke Spec, Dane Liccardo, and assuming he's in the lane now, perhaps as well, Koenig Igmanis. So the lead runner on track currently, ignoring for pit stops, of course, is Brenton Foley. He's an 8-second lead over his teammate Brendan Ross.
Oh,
obviously both
Noah Tara's just blowing
tyres.
the engine, I think. Going into the last corner, just caught the smoke, and yep, engine's gone, and that's all she wrote. Scott Murrell to the effective lead.
Yep, so that's second or third potential race winner now. Sorry, second potential race winner out of this race due to a blown engine. It must be unseasonably hot over there in Perth tonight. But yeah, so that's the second engine gone, and the same corner as well. So that's Tara out of the picture.
And yeah, don't jinx it now, but Will Devonish effective P2 after starting dead last. Only 2 seconds off the effective leader of Scott Murrell.
Well, it's interesting just looking at the cars that are out. Only one of those was a CRE car, but I believe from memory, CRE are actually the development team for the Mustang, and all those cars that have blown engines have been Mustangs. So I don't want to suggest that maybe Will's got the poison chalice as well, but I don't know. We'll see. We've got 21 laps to see how the rest of the field's engines go.
Well, also, I guess you can put it down in the stats for the season. PBF 1-2 right now.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had one of those. Very much through the technically PBF 1-2-3.
Yes.
They've roked back there in third, although I believe Scott Murrell's going to have something to say about that in probably a few laps' time. But yeah, good little run. I suppose it's the art of, and you and I are very familiar with that, the art of staying out longer than everyone else on track, even if it means leading a restart as a Super 3 driver. It's good to see. Good to get some clean air running, just generally for these guys that have stayed out as well. Good to get some clean air running in, because they're going to really benefit from just being able to set their own pace, control their own race the way that they want their race to run, rather than being forced to deal with others. Steve's got a bit of fun at the moment where he's got Ben Hall behind. Ben Hall is out there on hards as well, but they are fresher hards, and I think Ben wants to get a bit of a wiggle on. He's trying to put himself perhaps in a position where he's looking like perhaps a bit of a move at the bowl there, but probably trying to make his way back up to the field, get himself clear at least of the Will Devonish of the like, so he can avoid going an actual lap down. But that's it. I think he's just caught the blue flags from Murrell because he's just let Murrell through. So there goes that for Ben Hall. But yeah, couple of these guys that are running along on these hards are really starting to you're really taking an opportunity to make the race their own. But Steve Warwick's now got the threat of an actual race winner in his mirrors in Scott Murrell. He's just sized his way through on turn 1 with Will Devenish in the background as well.
Closed up about a second over the last 2 laps, Devenish on Scott Murrell here. So we'll see how nice Warwick wants to be, but he doesn't have to be, obviously, because he's racing for position here.
He is, yeah, and just for the funnies, Steve might put up a bit of a fight. That said, no, he didn't roll the red carpet, but he didn't exactly sentence him to a 10-round boxing match for it either. But Devenish is through. The next question will be how much of a fight Scott puts up, because Scott is the underling in the team relationship as such. But Scott's giving up a potential race win here, and not too many times that Scott is in a potential race win position. So, yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Either it's going to be a move early, or they're going to play it out to the end of this race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which way it goes. Speaking of tyres, yeah, Will Devenish also on the hards. So it should be a fairly even fight to the end here. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah, I'm going to say rule out anyone going for a 2-stop here, given they've all gone for the hards for the seconds then.
I think the only way we see a 2-stop is a safety car and then some of the guys at the back coming in to bolt on softs at the end. But the interesting part with this as well as, move for the effective race lead and pretty easily through in the end for Will Devenish. But the other interesting one to keep an eye on as well, and if we're going to see anything, it'll be in the next probably 5 or 6 laps. Spec is the lead of the runners out there on the soft tyres currently. He'll have a much quicker car under him than the guys ahead of him, but he is a few seconds back and he is going to have to worry about managing those tyres. But the first of the 2 PBF cars, both the PBF cars, so 2 of the 3, have peeled in. So Steve Warwick is in and he's come back out in the back of the train, and Brendan Ross also when he's going to spit back out. I think possibly just ahead of Brandon Dostal, and he has spotted here. He's come out just behind Dan Liccardo. So just Brendan Foley left to pit, and then the field will be cleansed.
Yeah, seems like Scott Murrell is not agreeing with these hards as much as the people around him at the moment. Will Devenish seems, come into his own once the hards bolted on. And Brendan Foley also peeled in, so results will begin to normalise now. Actually, in all of that, Dave McDonald's, I guess, sort of silently snuck up into the effective 3rd position here. Also running the hards to the end, it appears.
He has, yeah, so he's doing pretty well. You're right, just quietly running along. It wasn't someone that we'd really penciled in for a 3rd spot, but to be fair, I suppose, on the field, I mean, 2 of the guys who expected to be in the top 3 are now out of the race, so it's very easy to sneak up when your competition starts to fall off. But he's done what he needs to, Dan McDonald, so far, just to get himself up into that 3rd spot. He's got a pretty good margin. I mean, Murrell is potentially looking a little weak on those tyres. I think he's got a second wind of it now, because he is tucked in very nicely behind Will Devenish up there for the lead. But 3 seconds up to the lead pack, 3 seconds back to Luke Speck. Speck's probably the only concern, actually, who's just processed through Foley and Igmanis. Igmanis is actually the other one. Actually, Igmanis and Foley, actually, along with Speck, are now the lead runners on those soft tyres. So he is closing down on McDonald, but I don't think by enough that would indicate he's going to do something more with the tyres past that. But a few guys out there now on those softs, so Speck, Foley and Igmanis, that are going to start to, hopefully for their sake, push up into high positions at the back end of this race.
As we just saw, Foley making a move for the 5th on Igmanis. Igmanis seems to be struggling a little bit on the rears there, but he has a bit of a breather. Actually, no, just a couple tenths back, lock and lock. Mitchell Steele-Allison's recovered a little bit from that pit box shenanigans. Down into 8th. Could make up a few spots from here. Let's see, where's the next fight? Everything's sort of spread out a little bit now. Got Steve Warwick and Darryl Callahan for P13 here. Oh, and Callahan's just...
You had to jinx that.
We've got a few of the blow-ups here today.
We have, yeah.
Okay, and then here's all the blow-ups in pit lane. Yeah, Will Devonish stretching the legs out a little bit here. Stretched out to about a second. So just getting it out of the probably slipstream range that Scott would ideally be staying in if you wanted to give it another fight. What else we got here? I mean, Foley closing up on spec here. Might come into effect in the next few laps.
Yeah, I think this is really where the battle is going to be for the guys on softs at this end. It's going to be battle between the other soft runners versus, as opposed to a specific battle against the hard runners. That said, Igmanos has started to pull away from Lockie Lock in the last couple of laps. But yeah, I think with the way this race is playing out, still a 4-second gap from Spec up to McDonald. He hasn't really been able to do much with that because he's having to conserve the tyre because he pitted. Compared to the other guys on softs, he's pitted the earliest by far, whereas Foley's only had 5-10 laps on these tyres. They're basically like sort of quali fresh, and as a result, he's able to basically just scythe stroke the inside of Luke Speck. So he's one potentially in the last 10 laps that might have a challenge for this podium position yet.
Yeah, closing it up on McDonald, a couple of tenths a lap it seems, even with the traffic of Luke Speck. Let's see if Spec has anything to come back at him with, but I think that will be all she wrote for now. Bit of a lock-up though from Foley, but he gathers it up.
Well, I just want to have a look at the timing, and I think we're very much going to potentially something at the end here because fastest lap of the race for Foley on that last lap is list of PB. Doing a 55.001, so very much nudging into qualifying pace at this point. Whereas McDonald's last lap through was a 56.258, so he's a second and a quarter quicker per lap. Whether he can keep the car under him for the next 10 laps is part of it, but he's already got the gap down to 3 seconds. Yeah, I reckon it's on here. So McDonald's going to have to either pick the pace up a bit or get ready to get those elbows out for the last 5 laps of this race.
Yes, and yeah, it's already closing up a bit. While we just watch Mitchell Steele-Allison coming up on the back of Lachlan Lock here. They're both on the hard tyres. I believe pitting very similar times, so there shouldn't be too much variation in the tyre here. Let's see, Steele-Allison really close. Come on, camera, cut over. And yeah, just keeping the mirror occupied. Just enough to, keep something in the back of Lockie Lock's mind here. Maybe makes a mistake running defensively, and Mitchell Steele-Allison shoves it right up the inside, catching a bit of curb.
Oh,
and Lockie Lock in the background around, but he's kept it going. Losing a position to Brendan Ross, and that's Ben Hall lap down. So just hemorrhaging one position there. Oh, 2 positions if you include Mitchell Steele-Allison too. Not the worst.
Yeah, so interesting to see. That looked like that was pretty fair racing going on, but there was a bit of contact there that did ultimately result in Spec being backwards. So there might be something more to answer from that, but we won't find out now anyway. And yeah, what that has meant is Steele-Allison up the road by 6 seconds. He's probably going to now try and make a move on Igmanos as the race starts to finish out.
We'll cycle it through the field here, see if we got anything. Looks like not too much right now. Everything's spread out just a little bit. And then, yeah, we're back to the DNFers. So I think, yeah, the battle here will be between Brenton Foley and Dave McDonald as come to a close here. Slightly closing up, only 2 seconds now, the gap. So yeah, we'll stay on board here with Brendan Foley for a little bit as he's trying to belt in some qualifiers to catch Dave McDonald.
Yeah, just looking at the sectors through on this lap currently. Not much of a difference in that first sector, but the difference is, difference starting to come back actually. Just looking at last laps through as well. Time's starting to normalise between McDonald and Foley, so this will be the soft start to fall off. I think even though he has the best softs of the field, I have a feeling perhaps for Foley, at least the way things are shaping up, he might have just run a bit too late for his tyres. That last lap, that last lap through, McDonald was actually quicker, not by much. We're splitting hairs at this point, but he's going to hold that 2-second margin at this point, and more importantly, there is actually lap traffic in the way now as well of Darryl Callahan. He's going to get out of the way pretty quickly, but even then, that's a little bit of impedance that Foley probably doesn't need either.
Yeah, well, I think he gave up a bit of time in that last corner, going quite wide and trying to gather up any grip he has left with these softs. Bit of a lock-up from Darryl Callahan ahead. Yeah, and Dave McDonald stretching it out about another half second in the last lap. So, yeah, well, doesn't look like there's too much throughout the rest of the field. Maybe Steele Allison coming back at Igmanus now that Igmanus's softs are slowly wearing thin. Bit of a lockup from Igmanus ahead.
Yeah, last lap's through, I think similar situation. There's a difference in times, but it's only by less than a tenth. I think what we're seeing now is, compared to the hard tyre runners that pitted halfway through, we're seeing the pace normalise between the tyres. You really, I think the soft works, but you almost need to get onto the soft sooner, which is counter to the thinking, because then you have to deal with the shit soft at the back end. I think, as we've seen, Igmanus actually bowl it completely
very wide
in the last corner and give up that spot to Sales, and actually might lose that spot to... Oh, no, maybe not. No. Brennan Ross is the next car behind, but he's still a second clear.
Yes. We'll cut through the field. The next closest battle seems to be Dane Liccardo and Lachlan Locke, though they are still fairly spread out. So we'll just maybe follow with Dane for a bit, see how because he was one of the later pitters also, so we'll see how his tyres are going. Yeah, this is one of those crank it up segments brought to you by we'll be sponsored by Bose today.
Yeah, no, I was just having a look at the times. It's a similar story. It actually goes the other way for these two. So Locke's last lap was quicker than Liccardo, and even in the sectors, balancing out for this lap, there was a Liccardo slightly quicker in the second sector, Locke quicker in the first sector. But I get the feeling the soft tyre runners have left around a bit too late, and I don't know. I think the strategy call we're seeing from this race perhaps is that you split down the middle, but you do go soft hard, because the guys that have done that are pretty handily up the front of the field, and the guys that are running soft slate just don't have the mumbo, even those that pitted way late.
Ross is closed up on Igmanus. Oh, and Ross is bolted wide. Jeez, the jinxes don't stop coming. Hasn't made the wall, so we'll see if he can get back on track before he loses any positions. And yeah, he'll keep his spot, but he'll have a very shonky run going into the last corner. Whether Lachlan Locke can make anything of it, doesn't look like he can.
Yeah, I think that was our third for this race. So, apologies to all the drivers that we've been watching racing.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. And then we got Mitchell Steele Allison on the back of Luke Speck. Oh, and he's going to make the move here. Hards versus the softs. Luke Speck not making the softs last long enough in this second stint.
Yeah, no, that lift was not a I'm letting you through lift on the right-hander. That was a my fronts have given up and I need to slow the car down kind of a lift. I've done that in the past. So Specker's going to make it to the line on his tyres, but I get the impression he's going to make it to the line. That's all he's worrying about doing. He's not going to do it with any sort of rapid pace. He's definitely hit the back end of these tyres. Foley as well is now back to 3 seconds behind Dan McDonald. The soft tyre runners, they're running out of energy at this point. So, the hard's starting to actually come back into it at the back end as well. McDonald's actually been slowly chipping on the back of Scott Murrell. He's running out of time because this is the last lap, and as he runs into the bowl, he started last in this race. It's, again, not too often we talk about that, but avoiding the characteristic Will Devonish start was step one of the process, and as he comes down to the final corner, this will be one of the very few last to first finishes we've seen in supercars. Very few drivers hold that record, but Will Devonish will add his name to that list with a win in race number 1.
And coming in just behind, a few seconds back, P2 for Scott Murrell. I want to say that's his best result in a main series event. And Dane McDonald, P3, which is also a very good result for him. Bradton Foley, P4, after dragging those hards for way past probably as most would expect them to go. And then Mitchell Steele-Elson recovering after some pit shenanigans to P5.
Yeah, great work from Mitch to get back up after that, because as you mentioned, he lost probably 10-15 seconds as a result of it. So good effort to try and minimise any further damage.
Yep. And coming home in P6, Luke Speck on the first of the soft runners. Curtis McManus, P7, P7, losing a few spots from the start, but still a solid run after going wide once or twice. Brendan Ross up 3 positions for P8. Lachlan Locke finishing where he started, P9. And rounding out the top 10 and doing a full hectic burnout, Dane Liccardo in the SES Spud Division 35.
Well, that's only Dane's second finish of the year of the now 6 races he started. So I would say he's entitled to a big burnout, but he's entitled to have a little one just to celebrate the little win for himself.
Yep. P11 for Daniel Cox, P12 for Brandon Dostal, P13 for Steve Warwick, P14 for Darryl Callahan, P15 for Ben Hall, 1 lap down and last of the finishers. 16th and a very blown gearbox of Noah Turra. Same for Corey McFarlane. Ryan Smith with several bent body panels, and Darren Lognan with a tore off front in P19. Good race there. Couldn't pick who was going to win it. Anyone who was close to it seemed to just not want to win.
We definitely hadn't, and I guess the lesson there is never pencil Will out of a win. But yeah, I think. I think we both considered Turra as a winner. He was out. We both considered McFarlane as a winner. He was out. We both considered Murrell as a winner, and he just couldn't hang on in the end. So, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It was through a different method than usual, but Will Devonish does get up to pole. And actually, speaking of, we will be dragging in the top 3 from that race for a chat. So let's just sort them out.
Yep. Just who we reckon we start with? Probably P3.
I'll make sure I get them organised first, but Will, Scott, and Damon.
Is this the right? No, that's a.
All right. Let's bring. Actually, we'll start with P3. Let's grab Damon, and I will move him into the broadcast booth.
Hello, hello. Is he? Don't know.
Is he here?
Is he with us? No, he's probably.
We've caught him. We've caught him when he went to have a piss break. So in that case, I'll bring the other two up and we'll have a chat to one of them first. We'll go the other way around then. So Will Devonish, not your most conventional race win, but a race win in the end, all the same. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in qualifying. We landed in the server and then pressed the arrow, and the game just did nothing after that. So had to start from the back, which, as you know, I don't mind starting from the back of a grid, but it's a lot harder in a supercar to get past people. Look, it played out the way we wanted to. I think if Noah and Corey had stayed in, it might have been a different story, but yeah, once me and Scotty pit, the car just turned into a dream that second stint, and we were able to basically hit every apex we wanted to. It was really, really good drive that last stint.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll keep it short because we make sure you guys can get back and get prepared for race 2. But the second question to throw at you then, without probably wanting to give away too much, given there is still a second race to go and probably some people watching the broadcast trying to get some sneaky tips. I take it your car was set up to run better on those hard tyres, or was it just a bit of luck that they turned on at the back half of that race?
Nah, it's just set up as a race car. Wasn't as good a quality for car. So yeah, it's just been good on both tyres, so pretty happy.
Awesome. Well, great work by yourself, Will, and a bit less a challenge for you this time around with Progressive Grid. So hopefully a few more challenges to keep you honest at the back end of this one, but great work in race 1.
Thank you.
Moving on to second place, and I'm pretty sure you did call it correctly. No, you did. Scott Murrell, 4th in race 1 at Simmons, 3rd in race 2, 2nd in race 1 tonight. Does that mean that we're going to see a win from you later on tonight?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't quite have the pace of Will. But that was as good as a win for me. I was ecstatic to come out mistake-free.
Absolutely. Great work by yourself as well, Scotty. And I take it with a performance in Dev Series here last week, this is a track that really plays well for you.
Practice makes perfect, mate. I've done close to 1,000 laps between both cars, so I've had Will in my ear helping me along, teaching me, and the teaching's really working.
I guess that's what matters. Great work by yourself, Scotty, and hopefully we'll catch you again in race number 2.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, and finally, and hopefully he's back from his smoke break. David McDonald, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alrighty. Good run by yourself. Quiet run there to get up to 3rd place with a couple of the front runners falling off, but still a great run to get yourself up to 3rd place.
Yeah, I didn't quite expect it. I guess others' misfortune was my fortune, and in racing, I'll take that. I was hoping to catch up to Scotty there at the end to give him a sort of dev repeat with a couple of battles, but didn't quite have the pace to catch up.
Oh, good. Do you reckon you reckon you've maybe loaded a bit of something you can take it to him in race number 2?
If I can just keep on his bottom before the pit stops, and I guess come out right behind him, depending on where we pit, yeah, I'll hopefully get the jump on him.
Alrighty, well, great work, Damon. Good to see another podium position, and we'll catch you hopefully again in race number 2.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, good luck.
Cheers.
We'll cut back to footage of the racetrack here. Just going through a bit of a warm-up practice session. Everyone having a little bit of a break. We might go to a break actually too. All right, and we'll catch you once the grid's starting. All right, see ya.
These days you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop. stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop for Scaife now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Scaife now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel.
Oh, yeah. Cut the overlay away, and yeah, welcome back. Yeah, it's a little bit of a break, but yeah, we're only about 2 minutes away from gridding in this second race of the night. Continued grid from the previous results. So yeah,
Yeah, so that'll be Will Devonish on pole, which is a position he's much more familiar with, and crucially, the guys who we are hoping might beat him. Well, I'll say the guys who are hoping might beat him, but based on the poll, you've provided just the podium sitters, so we're allowing for no shenanigans in race 2. But I expect to see the likes of Noah Tara and McFarlane hopefully pushing up. They're both looking pretty good on hard tyre strats at points there. But yeah, I suppose what is your thoughts then for race number 2 winner?
I don't want to be boring, but it would be really hard to go past Will Devonish short of another gearbox blowing. Someone's fiddling with the holes I can see on the other page. No, I did leave someone else there. You're only limited to 4. I thought, yeah, podium sitters would probably be a good place to start it at. Yeah, it'd be really hard to go past Devonish. Like, I think I still have faith in a Murrow win, but yeah, given Devonish was able to win it from last, it's hard to put it past him winning it from first either.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, for the sake of a good visual product, I think Will's a pretty safe bet for a win. But if he's gonna do a dominant win, and given how I wouldn't say his win was comfortable, but he I don't know. If there's more challenges for you to win, then it'll be worth watching. But there's no rule. If there's more exciting battles for, say, 5th or 6th place, that we spend half the race watching that instead. It has been done in the past. A couple of things I will throw in that I've been made aware of during the break. One, we've been told to keep an eye out for the PBF cars. They're apparently cooking up a super sneaky strategy that is very dependent on what the cars around them do. So we might not see it at all, but if we do, I'm guessing we'll know it when we see it. Another thing I was gonna share with the broadcast was the great quality and the long-lasting taste, because they haven't changed in 20 years, of Alan's killer pythons. But there's none in my pantry. So instead I'm going to tell you how good the Natural Confectionery Company party mix is. It's good. And that's been the sponsored bit of the stream.
Very good.
Company, give me some money, please.
I think we're a bit away from making money off this, but send us your money. PayPal.com/ on the edge, yes. That's definitely real.
There's people out there who've been making money sending people feet pictures for years. Surely we can't be too far off of making money off of something actually good.
We could always just have a feet picture corner for the stream.
It's a good thing I'm only got maybe one more broadcast on the edge for the rest of the year. I'm enjoying this, but yeah, that's something different. I mean, it's definitely an option for the Dev Series broadcasts, and I will just say, speaking of that, you will see on the edge back for the Dev Series broadcast next round, which is in 2 weeks' time, at Hidden Valley, which is the IRL. It's the Indigenous round, but we don't have such a requirement here. But I believe there was interest from a few to run one. That said, I know Angus Brown wanted to run one, but missed the deadline. So we might see. Well, I mean, I say you might see something. It's up to the guys who run on the edge as to whether there's something special for that round. Sky's the limit on that one.
Well, but we still got one more race of
Supercars to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah. Get a bit of no, you can't really get land under that. I get copyright strike.
Royalty-free didgeridoo.
Or there'd be a cover out there that doesn't have royalties claimed on it, or something good like that. I'll have to find you some options.
I might just learn the didgeridoo myself and play it live on broadcast. Pencil it in.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, but instead of a didgeridoo, it's a flute, because I think that's all I'll have. Right, well, yeah, ticking over to the completion of warm-up. We're not far off gridding. Yeah, now we need some virtual grid interviews. Should be.
I'd love to go into the days of go back to the days of when I did a high kart league racing, and even on the grid we'd have one of the admins wander down the grid lane in the dummy grid of the high kart track with a little lapel mic and shove it into our helmet, fires a hole and asks us about the race. That'd be cool to do. Bit hard, bit impractical to do when in the land of sim racing, but I don't know. People keep asking me to bring back the high karts. Really go 10/10 with a broadcast and everything for it. It's something different.
Surely someone's modded in free roam and proximity chat in a set of course, so that could be the plan.
A proxy chat in sim racing would be there is already wide chat in iRacing. Proxy chat would be absolutely menacing and extremely awesome.
All right, as we grid, ticking down, probably about 20 seconds to go. Looking at the back of the grid here from perspective of Darren Longman, after having a bit of an unfortunate wobble into the fence early in race one there. Hopefully, it was a pretty innocent mistake. And just no grip on the grass and rolling away.
Yeah, so starting from pole position is Will Devonish. Very familiar set of words, that one, so we'll leave it at that. Starting alongside him is Scott Murrell, filling in for Cam Rutledge tonight in the CU in the NT number 015. Third is Dane McDonald for McHugh Racing, the lead of those two cars here tonight, and a good result for him in race 1, with Brenton Foley in 4th, the lead of the PBF Race Engineering Camaros. Keep an eye out for them, is what we've been told. 5th is Mitchell Steele Allison, the only PBF by SES car here tonight, the number 24, with Luke Speck in 6th place for SES Shogun. There'll be 2 of those cars on the grid as well. Curtis Egmanis, the second Series Engineering Mustang, is in 7th, with Brendan Ross filling in for Phil Boak for PBF in 8th. 9th is Lockie Lock for Series Amped Up Racing, with Dane Liccardo starting in the top 10. Good work by Dane in race number 1. Daniel Cox now has a season livery, and it looks like a paint can has vomited, but it's a very good looking livery all the same, and he'll be starting out of 11th place, with Brandon Dostal in 12th for Q by SES. 13th is Steve Warwick for Renshaw PBF Blackshaws, just a single car for them tonight, with everyone out of position again. Darryl Callahan in 14th for McHugh Racing. 15th, and still in the pit lane, so hopefully we see him on the grid, is Ben Hall for SES Shogun, with Noah Turra in 16th, the second of the Series Amped Up Racing cars. He's got a bit of work to do, as does Corey McFarlane in the guest car tonight for Tickford Racing, but hopefully we'll see him in a full-time livery later in the year, and hopefully he'll make the end of this race. As also shared on that sentimentality is Darren Lognan, the sole Vortex Racing Mustang here tonight. Hopefully he makes it in as well and banks some good team points for his team. Just going to cut back up through and see, and Ben Hall has made it to the end of pit lane, so he will start this race about as far off he was as race number 1 with that drive-through.
Murrell seems a bit forward on his box, yep, and he's backing it up. And we're all lined up, all a little bit of a roll. Hopefully that's not a jump start for his sake. And 5 lights, and away we go. Even start at the front, and and Dane Liccardo around in the background. Daniel Cox too. Is that a safety car? We make it past scot-free.
Got lucky there, but a bit of a shuffle on the front as well. Foley with a really good start and absolutely cut through the field. Was very lucky not to assist McDonald or Murrell into the grass as a result. There wasn't really room for the Murrell, but he was going to make room for it there anyway. Sorry, my internet just took a hissy there, but we're back. And Foley up into 2nd place, Murrell up in 3rd, and leading that train away down now into the last corner.
Igmanis looking at setting up a move there, but thinks better of it. Bit wide by a few cars here. Someone's gone way wide, Corey McFarlane, but he makes it back on the track somehow in one piece. And we're all going. Dane Liccardo, after being backwards before the first corner, is actually not as far back as I would have expected. Still, and not last, so yeah.
Yeah, the good thing for Dane, I suppose, is if anyone who did spin early, is a bit of extra free tyre warming before the race really kicks in. So, might play against them. We were told to keep an eye out for the PBF cars, and currently 4th and 8th. Foley's just been dropped back behind McDonald, and Rossi's got his hands full with Brandon Dostal. I suppose just to try, for those at home trying to sleuth out the strategy that they're playing with, they are both sitting on hard tyres, but I'm going to guess it's going to revolve on a pit strategy call and revolve on the cars around them. So we will keep an eye on that one.
Yep, and going all over the place, the whole field around the last corner. And given that, Foley's on hards, that started, it's even crazier now, going all the way up to P2 for a little bit there. Finding the grip somehow, and McDonald making a bit of a charge here on Scott Murrell as I jinx it slightly. And we got a yellow in the dust bowl. Is that someone off? No. Must just be earlier in the sector.
That'll be. I think that's Foley coming back down to the field. Actually, he's just dropped behind Speck coming back on the track, and there wasn't a brake marker board or advertising board on the outside on the way into the bowl knocked down. So I think Foley perhaps sprayed a bit wide, maybe caught the grass, and just dropped behind Luke Speck now for 5th.
Thought I heard a crunchy gearbox, but I think I was lied to by my ears. Fairly clean now, and Just checking in here on Curtis Igmanis, right behind Brenton Foley. Should be able to make a move soon, given the tyre deficit here for Foley at the moment, with those trying to make those hards last as long as possible, I would say.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the gamble is for some of the guys, because I get the feeling that we got told, especially with the strength of performance from Devonish in race 1, that the strat for tonight is start on softs, finish on hards. The alternative option perhaps is hards through to softs, but I don't know, something with the way the track behaves, or what, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be better to run the softs in your first stint versus your last stint. Maybe it's just simply because all the cars are together and it's easy to get passes done. It probably is that, to be fair. Also, I've just spotted as well, we have unfortunately lost Ben Hall pretty early as well. I'm not sure what's happened there, but shame for Ben. But yeah, it's interesting to see what the strategy call is, because there are, I think, a few other guys out there on the hards that aren't just running in PBF. So we're still out into the PBF car, so that doesn't really count. McFarlane's out there on the hards. And Logner's out there on the hards. So actually, it's the guys who start at the back and PBF, and then the guys starting on hard tyres.
Yeah, chopping and charging through the field here, both McFarlane and Tara. Tara up 9 and McFarlane up about 8, I believe.
Yeah, up 9 and up 7 currently for McFarlane. So he's not finding it as easy to get through the pack, and we saw a bit of this in race number 1 as well. Just a lack of familiarity with the guys in the field, and probably to a degree, especially given his newness to a lot of the guys in the field and his relative obscurity compared to a lot of other drivers. Given that this is the first we've seen him in a couple of years, probably very much trying to go out of his way to not ruffle too many feathers this early on, which smart call, because we don't know necessarily how long his tenure is, and as with all drivers, we hope it's as long as it can be. It's good to have guys in the field, good to have some new guys coming in, but very much probably trying to trying to turn a new leaf. He wasn't a pretty friendly bloke, I think, for the most part, except for maybe a few occasions last time he was here, but definitely trying to sort of turn a new leaf with it, and just sort of find his way back into the groove, having been out of it for 2 or 3 years.
Lock and Mitchell Steele Allison running it side by side, and that's a bit of a whack coming from Lock there. No harm, no foul, and Steele Allison with the inside line here. Seems like he should have it, but no, Lock hanging it tough around the outside and actually clears him there. Good move.
Very nice, yeah.
Will Steele Allison have a response? It looks like he's also on the hards too, so maybe not at this rate. And I think that was Rossi sending it through the grass a little bit there, and also making a move on Steele Allison. Right. Let's slowly scroll towards the front. Tara coming up on the back of Brenton Foley here. Tara actually almost, I'd say, making pace on the leaders here and being on the hards. Or is Tara on softs? No, Tara is on softs.
Tara is the one of the 3 guys, or the only one of the 3 guys who started off the back, who is on soft tyres. So that explains his charge through the field, and explains to a degree why he's done better than McFarlane. But that said, McFarlane's got there in the end. He's taken it a bit longer, but what matters is for all the hard work early, Tara's only a couple of tenths clear of McFarlane at this point.
Bit of a fight here for P2. I'll just cut to Murrell and McDonald squaring it up, and Luke Speck slightly trying to make a name for himself here in this fight. Side by side through the last corner. Murrell a bit wide, Speck trying to capitalise.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a bit of a feed. I think they just tried to go through there too wide. The problem is the last corner really is kind of a one-line corner, kind of just as the camber of the road carries you, but also with that inside curb. You can touch the inside curb, but if you get any close to hooking your wheel over it, then it will just pick your car up and throw you over. So, very circumspect a lot of the drivers are around that inside curb for obvious reasons, and it means that, you effectively only one line through that corner. if you're on the inside, you're going to end up naturally wanting to push the guy alongside you out. And yeah, for what that meant for Murrow at least was a slightly poorer run off the corner. And speaking of poorer runs off the corner, a bit of a sideways flick there off the corner for Murrow as well. But I had to stretch the train out a little bit. So McDonald now, got about, he's got about a car length. He's got enough over Murrow. I was trying to do the math in my head. He's got enough of a lead over Murrow. Same of a gap back to Spec, and actually same of a gap from Spec then back to Egmanos, who's just sitting back there and hoping this spices up again, that he can maybe try and capitalise on some of it, as Devonish currently actually a 6-second lead.
Both McFarlane and Tara making it past Foley there, and even McFarlane trying to make a move here on Tara. They're
only a few seconds off the back of this train as well, which for Noah, not really a surprise given the pace he's been showing, but for McFarlane, we're doing this pace on the hard tyre. He's doing pretty good and actually in a really good position if he can still get some longevity out of that tyre and push maybe later for a soft. But really good run for McFarlane, and yeah, they've got 3 seconds to Egmanos, and once they hit Egmanos, they've hit the rest of the train.
Spec bombing it down the inside here on Morrill, and Marner's trying to capitalise, but looks like Morrill will hold out at least in that. Oh, maybe he's let him by. Maybe a bit of CRE team orders. Seemed
I was thinking
easy.
that, yeah, possibly. Might just be the call for Morrill. He mentioned that second was a bit of a win for him, and that's why he's partially reflective of the guys that he was sharing the track with, but also maybe just his feeling with the car. Because even on softs now, that car isn't looking quite as happy as it was looking at the start of race number 1. So maybe a bit of a setup change to try and help the hards. And as we mentioned, CRE are driving a bit of a, well, I think every team is, to be fair, but driving a race setup rather than a quali setup. This car maybe will come into its own on the hard tyres. And unfortunately for Scott, not that they're a tyre to suffer on, but he is having to suffer a little bit with the softs, and he's just bowled it a little bit wide, actually, very wide. That's how that corner goes. And he's dropped another spot to Noah Tara, and I think McFarlane might have got through there as well. He just did.
Another camera curse there. Sorry, Scott. Tara and McFarlane still carving it up. Not making too much time on the leader wheel Devonish, but on this pack for second, still making up a fair bit of time. Shouldn't be too long till they catch up if McFarlane doesn't keep trying to bomb it here on a Tara.
I think we're starting to get to the point where, and I'm not sure when I see, they could. I'm not saying they wouldn't think together, because while they are in the same team in terms of how their race is playing out, they're definitely, contrasting teams. One CRE and one is a privateer team. So the smart strat, if these were teammates at this point, you would do a bit of a multi-21. You would put Tara behind McFarlane, because McFarlane's got better drive off those tyres. He's got what definitely feels like a quick car at this point, and Tara will probably save a bit of tyre and help himself out in return by using the slipstream off of McFarlane to help himself off the corner, because that's where his biggest problem is acceleration off the corner with where those softs are at. And so much of this track, or not so much necessarily, but a lot of this track is, the run off the bowl, is the run off the last corner, especially the bowl, because it's a long loaded corner you're accelerating through. You really need the tyres under you, but that's what's hurting Tara. I will ignore that McFarlane's dropped back this lap through a run through the bowl that wasn't so tidy, 2 wheels on the grass. But generally speaking, at this point of the race, we saw this in race number 1, the hard tyre runners, still a bit of life left in their cars. Soft tyre runners are starting to get to the point where they cling on. So even though they have now caught Egmanos, probably in the next couple of laps, if these guys were teammates, I would be switching them around. But I think as things will stay, Noah's going to benefit from keeping McFarlane behind him, so he's going to keep it that way. Yeah,
so we've just cut to Brandon Dost on Lock, and also in the background, we didn't catch it, but Dane Liccardo is unfortunately DNF'd from this event.
He has, yeah. It was a little while ago. I didn't catch what it was, but he did mention before the race that he might sit this one out due to shoulder problems. And He did end up committing to the race, but I get the impression maybe the shoulder flared up mid-race for him, which is unfortunate. So unfortunately, an out for Liccardo. He did get some points though tonight in race number 1, so that's good to see, and it's good to see him on track in general.
Still Allison right out sideways in the background. Just seeing. Oh, we've just had Tara and McFarlane try and get past Igmanus. Oh, Igmanus fighting back, and Scott Murrell taking out a advertising board or advertising board. Yeah, sort of evening out here as we get closer to the pit window opening. I don't believe anyone's bit the bullet yet on a stop, and be probably a bit early for that. But should be expecting action in the pit lane soon.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if we see people in a little earlier, in so much as they've had a chance to run long on the hard tyres and figure out where the usable life of the hards is. They might very much find that that the life of the hards does mean that once the softs really start to lose any of their advantage, they'll be in sooner. Which we saw a couple of guys struggling to like lap 20 to then still come out on the hards. Those guys, I reckon, might start pitting like lap 18, lap 17, like we saw from some of the front runners.
Yep. Cutting back to Locke and Dostal here. Dostal getting it up on 2 wheels and having a few lockups. Definitely, car doesn't seem to be agreeing with him tonight, but he's still getting around the track fairly quickly. We'll see Locke keeping it a bit tighter on the dust bowl than Dostal, but that should give Dostal the superior run out of the bowl. Let's see with the slipstream, is there any semblance of move? He points it towards the inside, but nothing of it. Maybe a better run through this final corner, but no. And then in the background, Mitchell Steele Allison, while these two are slightly squabbling, trying to make up some positions, and also on the hard tyre. This is probably where the hards begin to eclipse the worn softs and make a bit of a benefit now.
Yeah, so this is when we start to see a bit of mumbo from the likes of Brenton Foley, the likes of Corey McFarlane, or not that we haven't already to be fair, but the likes of Steele Allison, the likes of Brendan Ross, and he is currently down the back by 2 seconds, but Steve Warwick will start to feel a bit of an improvement over the cars in front of him. He's just going to get back to them first. But yeah, Steele Allison looking to make a move on the run down the back straight, although not quite where he needs to be. He kind of needs to roll his drive around the outside, I think. Trying to run down the inside is asking a bit much of his tyres at this stage, but he's set himself up very nicely down the run into the final corner, up the inside, and he's through.
Pit lane. McDonald,
and we're starting to see pitted, so McDonald
and
Devonish is in. So that seems to be the winning strat based on last race's winner being in the pit lane. So yeah, Murrell's in, McDonald's in. No other callers at this stage, which has meant Specs stayed out in the lead, McFarlane up to second, and Tara up to third. Coming
up to speed now for Devonish. Seems like he's slotted into a very clean part of track, which is quite good for him. 4 seconds ahead and 7 seconds behind. Assuming the people around him pit soon. Yeah, should set him up pretty nicely for the second stint.
Yeah, well, he's in early as well, the man who managed to make a soft strategy work in race number 1. So Luke Speck, I imagine, is going to join the others on a hard tyre. Otherwise, I think everyone else has stayed out so far. I think Steele Allison was thinking about coming in, but he's still got some energy in that car. He's looking at making a move. Sorry, it wouldn't be Steele Allison, it might have been Dostal, I think I was saying. But he's looking at making a move past Dostal now. And then otherwise, Lockie Locke, the other one into the lane this lap through.
Change for the current lead as well. Corey McFarlane on Noah Tara. Seems those hards are also paying dividends now for McFarlane. Let's see if he can make these hards last the full distance without going through a gearbox. Be interesting where they all shape up with Devonish once the pit cycle's gone through. Though Devonish had about 10 or so seconds prior to the pit sequence, and whether McFarlane knows all the tips and tricks when it comes to setting up a pit sequence in this game. May lose a second or two there. We'll see. Brendan Foley also.
I was just thinking he'll have a good refresher on that, because it has been a few years since he last to do one, but I think he did run Enduro Cup at one point, so he's familiar with it from that at the very least. And you're right, Foley is back there as well. He's got about a 3-second margin to play with, Foley, and he's looking, dare I say, slightly quicker than the 55 at this point. Let me just go and quickly have a look at the live timing to confirm. And last lap through, about the same actually, and Foley actually slower through that first sector. Might just be an optical illusion, but Foley's looking pretty racy back there as well. And we're going to see where these guys play out. But on the pitters, he minus up to third, so he's seen a few more guys into the lane. Still Allison up to fourth. He's actually just ahead of Dostal, and Dostal's not really accepting the fact that Still Allison's passed him, but he's considered defeat because he's into the lane. So Dostal in this lap. And have we got any other callers? Also, Devonish has cycled already back up to 9th. So Devonish, as the effective leader, based on having actually pitted, is now up to 8th. So everyone ahead of him still needs to pit at some point.
Yeah, just before Allison pulling a move around the outside of Dostal at the Dust Bowl, that seemed like pure grip there, given Dostal had to pit. But yeah, very good move there from Still Allison. So Corey McFarlane still cycling up the front. Got a little bit of lap traffic now. Shouldn't be too much of a hold up, I imagine. So yeah, let's quickly just have a little geese through the field. We got Darren Logman and Cox pretty close together. Yet to pit, I believe, both of them. And both on the hards. Oh, Cox in. And then our effective leader, Will Devonish, coming into the top 5 now.
Yeah, so I was just watching, just checking everything is going all right, and McFarlane has just processed through Callahan, so he's now got a bit of a buffer stop for him against the rest of the fielders. Well, the rest of the field actually just being Foley at this point in terms of pace on track, but he's a little bit of a buffer now to Foley. And McFarlane, yeah, he's looked like he's pretty much locked in. He's set off for a bit of a run, so we'll cut back to him probably at a later point in the race when, dare I say, he's doing something a bit more worth watching. I mean, setting good pace on hard tyres is exciting content, but more for the driver rather than a spectator.
Daniel Cox coming out of pit lane on a fresh set of softs right behind Lachlan Locke on, I believe, a fresh set of hards. Should be a decent pace advantage for Cox once these tyres warm up a little bit. Takes about probably 3/4 of your outlap for the softs to really hook up. And yeah, it's pretty quiet right now, just as everyone's settling into this final stint of the race.
Yeah, we're just waiting for a few more sort of pit strategies to play out. We're also kind of still waiting to see. Obviously, we're seeing the pace, and we're seeing a bit of the same almost to a degree. But that said, we are and we aren't, because I've noticed one driver who does appear to be from the group of guys that have pitted. Either that or he's had a mistake at some point, and I can't see anything obvious in the timing to suggest either way. I'd suggest maybe being through the lane, but Brendan Ross is currently down in 11th. Still on a set of hard tyres, which would suggest he hasn't pitted yet. But the gap to the leader suggests he might have pitted. So I'm unsure as to whether there was a mistake or something. But otherwise, in terms of running on those tyres, I mean, Steve Warwick's up in 6th sort of by virtue of having not pitted yet versus the cars around him. But yeah, still Allison and Foley, I think very much. If there is a contra to the contra strategy that PBF are dreaming up, then they'll be the ones carrying the torch, and we'll probably see where that eventuates to be through them, as Foley's just gotten past Callahan as well. So about 3.5 seconds back from McFarlane at this point. But yeah, just sort of waiting. I think there would have been a battle maybe. Will Devonish in the last lap has gotten through on Darren Lognan for 4th place. But if it's anything like race 1, I don't remember Darren making that too hard for him. But Darren's doing a pretty good job as well, just quietly tiding along in 5th place. He's still got a pit, obviously, as well. But running a pretty good, quiet race for the start of this one. I think he did start on the hards. So, but then next major battle that's starting to form up here is Damon McDonald and Luke Speck. Damon was a pitter and came out on the hards, and Speck, I think, was in a lap or 2 earlier, also on the hards. So similar tyre wear, or similar tyres, same tyres. If anything, Speck's maybe got the slightly worse compound, but what he has now got, I think for the moment at least, is he's got tyres that are closer to their peak. Because it's going to take a bit of time and a bit of wear to get those hards up to where they're really set up nicely.
Yes. Yeah, this is probably the closest battle right now. But yeah, given how they work together in race 1, I feel like they'd be managing those tyres until it's time to pounce right at the end. Looking behind, Noah Toro trying to make up for lost time because of the further back pit grid position. Of the people who are yet to pit, I believe Steve Warwick, Darren Lognan, Steele Allison, Foley and McFarlane. You'd imagine it's not far off these hard pitters. Not far off time to stop for these hard runners. So, so we'll see. I would estimate McFarlane probably comes out around the back of the 10, but yeah, with those fresh softs, could bring it back a fair bit.
I've just noticed in the last little while as well that we've lost Brandon Dostal from this race as well. I did catch the back end of it. It looks like perhaps a hardware problem coming out of the bowl, because he's very quickly brought the car to a stop and pulled off into the short chute that you use to create the short circuit layout. So perhaps a hardware problem for Dostal, and we did actually see already Ben Hall in the live stream chat talking about a hardware issue for him. So a lot of engines going in race 1. There seems to be a lot of hardware in race 2, or I suppose in the case of Dane, well, you would count a shoulder hardware, I suppose. So yeah, all 3 of those due to hardware problems.
Yeah, bit of attrition. Yes, Speck slowly catching up to McDonald here and actually making the pass. Seems slightly orchestrated, but I don't know. We'll take it.
Just had another one of the runners into the lane. So this is an early-ish stop to come off of the hards, but it is Steve Warwick in. So maybe this is a window into that PBF strategy, it being one of their drivers. So he will come out at the start, the start of lap 28. He actually has just been lapped by Foley, who's passed. Oh, that's why he's past McFarlane. McFarlane's also in the lane at the end of lap 28.
Yes, and this will be the interesting rejoin, though I don't think it'll be close yet. Will Devonish has already passed.
Yeah,
we'll see where McFarlane
sailed clear right at this point. But McFarlane will put himself onto a position where he's got 12, 13 laps to run on those softs, which might be doable without running into the back end of those tyres too far. So we're interested to see where he comes out in this. But he is, he's like 20 seconds off. But I think he's still dropping through the order.
Yeah, coming out in P8 just behind Igmanis here. And he's bolted on a set of softs, so yeah, expect some quick laps now to close out. He's going to need to be doing
qualifying laps, I think, if he's going to try and get back to Will. He's got a 20-second gap to make up, and he's got 12, 11 laps to do that in. He's going to basically need to be doing qualifying laps the rest of the race, and that's going to be interesting because Will's last lap through was a 55.9, and actually I've just noticed Foley into the lane as well.
Yeah. So I believe that's everyone cycled through now, except maybe Brendan Ross, but that's got a bit of a question mark on it. And down the inside, Corey McFarlane on Igmanus, just as Foley's coming out of the pits, might pick up one here. No, gonna have to wait. But he's bolted on a set of softs.
Yeah, so he's in a similar position to McFarlane. He's got the, basically is able to go out there and run some quality laps on those tyres. He's got, he's got about 12 laps to burn on those tyres as well. Well, about 11, I think, once he gets the temp up. But, in a good position as well. Not too different to what we saw, actually, in race 1. I think the difference is they maybe went a little longer on those hards, which is what I was saying might be a strat, is just push a little longer on those hards, given the life that they have versus the softs. But up the inside of quite a aggressive use of that curve.
Corey McFarlane.
And McFarlane with...
That'd be track cuts, I think, because he's just coming around the final corner there.
Yeah, I'd have to say so. I'll just see if I can get a look. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, it is. That did record as a drive-through. Okay, so that's a shame. Because he was running up until that point. Well, that previous lap doesn't show, but up until that point, he was running pretty good pace. And that's all come undone now. So that's going to drop him back to essentially the back of the train.
Yeah, I'd say probably around even, maybe 15th here, 14th. That's going to be rough. Doesn't come in this lap. I guess another drive-through though. You only have to serve one, I believe, unless we've changed it that they don't stack. But yeah, I guess just burn up the track cuts while he has them until he has to serve them.
I can see where he's getting them, and it's a tricky spot in so much as there is a way to take that last corner, and it's very much I suppose an art of doing it in a way that doesn't make up time compared to the standard line, because there is a way to sort of run that corner a bit wider and essentially get actually arguably at a worse run, but it feels faster or whatever it is. But yeah, at this point, I think he's taking advantage of his presence on track, and Tara's probably been notified or has picked up on the fact that McFarlane has got a drive through to serve, so he doesn't need to push McFarlane too hard, because McFarlane will be in the lane anyway. And McFarlane fastest lap for the serve of that last lap through, which shows what he was trying to do. 54.6 for him there. So very much, in the window to try and make something happen there on pace. For reference, Foley's fastest lap is a 54.8, and then we go back to actually there's really an obvious no, there isn't actually. Yeah, so only 3 drivers into the 54s so far in this race, the only other one being Will Devonish, and that would have been set in the first stint.
I believe he'll have to bring it in this lap or face a DQ. Let's just see if he actually does bring it in real quick. Coming around last corner here. And yes, he does. He does bring it in. And he gets it stopped. Right.
Yep. Nails that down real nicely. So he's going to drop through the field, but he has at least managed to put a bit of a statement in with his driving at least. The results won't show it, but he has been pretty quick out here tonight. And very much in a position where, next couple of rounds, definitely is someone to keep an eye out on.
This battle for second here, staying quite close. Specs still has the better of his, I guess, not teammate, but they're working pretty close together. And I believe, in each other's ears right now. Keeping each other honest. And I just saw in the background, Foley seems to be having a crack at Tara. Obviously, Foley has the softs right now, and Tara is trying to make it home on the hards. Bit of a touch there.
Yeah, and Tara's, I don't know, maybe he got given the advance notice from Igmanus, who had Foley fire up the inside of that corner a couple of laps ago. He's very much parked it on the apex and basically forced Foley to give him a push through the corner, which is why he had such a poor run off of it. And if Foley's very much in a position where whatever he's doing with it, he has to make it happen now because those tyres have a ticking time bomb on them. If he waits too long, he's going to lose his advantage, and he'd much rather be fighting past Noah, be fighting past Noah Tara, and then defending with whatever tyres he has left, and trying to still make this pass happen in 5 laps' time. So he needs to get through Tara probably the next lap or two to even have a chance to go anything further. Because I think his aspirations might even go higher than Tara. I think he might still be aiming for a podium with this one.
Makes the pass, but shonking run exiting the corner, and just ahead, Dave McDonald making the pass on Luke Speck for P2.
Yeah, so they've been running pretty quietly as a little two-pair themselves as well for most of the back half of this race. Devonish checked out to a 14.6 second lead at this point. Short of a safety car or something else happening, this race wins pretty well locked in for him. But yeah, good little battle here between these two over the minor placings, and yeah, just quietly running on together. Teammates or adjacent teammates. I mean, one's LMR and one is SES, but when the results are good, they're all under the one banner. Yeah, he's been doing. Oh, they've both been doing a good job running along together, and good to see Specky. Slightly better result out of this one. Probably running the strategy he didn't necessarily want to run. I know he was pretty adamant for Dev Series that soft was the way to go, and he was pretty adamant tonight as well that soft was where he needed to be. But he's got the hards on now, and no, actually, I won't say that. But he's adapted a little better, or he's managed to adapt himself to the required strategy for this race, and running pretty well now.
Scott Murrell making a move on Igmanus for 6th there, just as we were talking. Very sideways from Murrell. And yeah, Foley just making a bit of a mistake in the final corner, but already getting back right up to the bumper again of Noah Taro, and I believe he'll have another crack this time around into the final corner. Maybe a little far back.
He's been faster than Taro the last few laps, but the margins, as in race 1, as we saw in race 1, there's margins, the difference is starting to come down a little bit. He very much needed to, and he'll know it, he needed to get past Taro 2 or 3 laps ago, or probably have done it by now at least, because the tyres are starting to swing back the other way. It's still a good run. It is actually a drop on his performance in the last race, but the difference is there's 2 extra guys in this race that weren't a factor before, one of them being the car he's trying to pass right now. So, all things considered, he's managed to run about as well as last race. The counter to that, though, is I think he was aiming to do better. But he is going to be keeping Noah honest, and Foley is the sort of driver that he will keep using those tyres until there is no tyre left. He not that he doesn't believe in conserving tyres, but in much in the same way that you pay for the racetrack, you might as well use the entire racetrack. He's paid for those tyres. He wants to use all that rubber.
Going defensive early there for Tara. Oh, and a whack in the middle of the final corner there. Foley really wants to get by, but he's running out of time. About 4 laps to go as they cross the line.
There could be a strategy play here, but also it could be maybe a puncture or something for Ross. But Ross has just peeled out of the pit lane ahead of Noah Tara, which does put Tara in a bit of a PBF sandwich, going one of them a lap down, and is going to have to make an effort not to be a big impedance, or they'll face a penalty. Although as a guest driver, I'm not quite sure how that's going to carry on to him. I suppose it's going to apply to this race if something does happen. But potential for shenanigans at the back end of this one, given that he's now in a PBF sandwich with Foley still applying the blowtorch and has been doing so for about the last 10 laps at this point.
Looking at the outside again, trying the crossover, but Tara just keeps parking it perfectly in the middle of the corner, stopping that run of Foley. And looks like he's going to have to try and set it up again for this final corner. Really needs to nail that run out of the bowl. Sticks with him, but yeah, just a little bit slow out of the bowl, it seems. Just not close enough to set it up for the final corner.
Yeah, last lap through, current lap through, the timing is starting to swing back the other way now. It doesn't look like it on the screen because he's still got the speed where it matters, but ever so slightly, at least on the scoreboard, if not on the track, Tara is going to start to edge out a little bit of a lead now. That said, he's looking pretty vulnerable again, but he's been able to position that car just where he wants to on the inside. He's giving Foley not really anywhere to go. Foley has done a better job this time of timing that improved run into later in the corner, but he still can't do much with it. He's going to have to go back out to the outside and try for turn 1 and maybe coax Tara into a bit of an understeer moment, but he's kept the car under him and he's still stabled there. They are now slowly making moves up on Rossi, who will probably be having blue flags at this point. So he's going to have to cycle through at some point in the next little bit, but also he's then got his own concern in the couple of seconds up the road from him, or not even a couple of seconds, but a second up the road from him is Daryl Callahan, who he's chasing down. And a move, and another, so that'll be another track cut for McFarlane, so that'll finish off what's left of his race, unfortunately. He's got, he might pit out into this battle, actually.
I think, and Tara's making a move while he still has a chance, but I'm a bit of a lock-up from following him.
Wouldn't quite get stopped, but he managed to put his car in just the spot that Tara didn't get the run and actually bounced off his rear quarter panel, and he's parked that very narrowly down. He's nearly forced Tara into a mistake under brakes, so willing stuff from these two, and a good battle to finish off this race.
Yep, and blink and you miss it, and we're on the final lap already. Coming around and down the back straight into the final corner here. Will Devonish, can't really fault him this race, sort of lights the flag, just perfection, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not much to it than that. He had a bit of a challenge early with, or a bit of a challenge in theory, with some of the performance, some of the guys around him, but just held on. And well, I mean, what can you say? He's good. He's good at his craft. He's good at what he does. So another win chalked up for Will Devonish. Second, and just across the line now, is Damon McDonald, and he did manage to hold off Speck at the end there. Good run for him with Speck back there in third. Foley in fourth over Noah Tara. And then sixth place for Scott Murrell. A bit of a fade for him, unfortunately, in that race, with Curtis Sigmanis back there in seventh. Mitchell Steele Allison in eighth. Lockie Lock and Darren Loughlin coming to the line now, and this was a pretty close battle, but in the end, Lockie Lock home for ninth over Darren Loughlin in 10th, and Darren was on softs at the end there, so was going to be the aggressor. 11th goes to Steve Warwick, with Daniel Cox home the first of the cars a lap down in 12th. 13th is Brendan Ross. 14th is going to be Daryl Callahan. 15th is Corey McFarlane with a couple of drives to serve at the end there, unfortunately. And then DNFs to Brandon Dostal, Dan Liccardo, and Ben Hall.
Yeah, pretty good race there from at least the mid-pack. We got a few skids going down the old pit lane, I think. And just teleported to our pit lane, but we still have a McDonald and Speck, the rest of our podium, doing a few skids. Yeah, well, give us a good skid, Specky. So that looks like we'll be disappointed. But yeah, good race. Yeah, well, once they get back in pit lane, I think we can organise a few yap sessions with the winners and podium getters. Yep, Speck murdering a few cones, ripping a few cones there. Nothing out of the usual.
Well, how do you think that one went, Rory?
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good race. Yeah, calmer, I guess, than I thought it would be. But yeah, no, still quite good throughout. A few good battles, a few people coming through the field. comers goers. Can't really ask for too much more. Maybe a bit more of a battle at the front, but that's can't get it every day.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go for the order we intended in at the end of race number 1. So starting with third place, Specky, you spent the best part of the last 2 weeks preaching that the soft sauce was the way to go, and in the end you had to buckle to the trend and put the hard tyres on, but paid off for you in race number 2.
Yeah, it did. I tried it in race 1. Had a puncture last corner in race 1, so that went in the bin. And soft hard was clearly the way to go. Worked a treat.
Absolutely. Well, great work by yourself tonight. How do you feel race 2 went as a whole?
Oh, as good as you could have hoped for, really. Got past the couple of hard runners early on in Still Allison and Foley, and it was just cruising with Damon for most of that race there. Just, pretty simple, straightforward, and can't complain.
Awesome. And I suppose we've got a few weeks now until Hidden Valley. What's your thoughts on the place?
Oh, love the track. I think we had a good set from last year, so should be able to roll that out with a few little changes and be on it pretty quickly. So, looking forward to it.
Very nice. Well, congrats on what I believe is your... Nope, it isn't. First podium in a while, at least.
Yeah.
For you there, Specky, and we'll catch you in a few weeks' time at Hidden Valley.
Thank you.
See you, mate.
Moving on to second place, and nice improvement for you there by 1 spot, Damon. Slightly better race 2 then as a result.
Cheers. Definitely a better race. Not too sure what happened to Scotty there. Guessing he just started and the tyres died on him, but it was good there. Just to get home clean, really. Get the podium.
Absolutely. It's been a good run for you as well. It sort of backs up your performance from Surfers Paradise. Are you starting to find yourself in a good groove with these cars?
Once you get into the groove, it's definitely a lot more forgiving come race time for me. The qualifying isn't really my strong suit in these. I don't know what it is, but come race time, I just seem to be able to, I guess, keep it a bit more steady. And
Very nice. And then what's your thoughts coming for Hidden Valley?
I don't think I did that last year in these cars, but from what I remember last year in Dev Series, I don't think I went too bad. But, keen for all rounds.
Awesome. Very good. Well, great work by yourself tonight, Damon, and we'll catch you in a few weeks' time at Hidden Valley.
Cheers, mate.
See you, mate.
And finally, with a bit of an easier run in race 2, a bit more of the standard fare that we expect to see, and as a result, pretty comfortably lead now in the driver standings. 2 for 2 tonight to Will Devonish.
Yeah, was a good race for us. Fortunately, Scotty had his wheel fall off his desk during the race, so that's why he fell back in that first stint. But no, aside from that, I think the team did really good tonight. We had a really strong setup, especially on the hard tyre. Pretty happy with how the night turned out.
I'll throw you a bit of a curveball, given that we spent a lot of time interviewing you through the year anyway. Given your previous experience with him and given he's now back in the field, what's your assessment of Corey McFarlane's debut tonight?
Look, he's showing a ton of speed, especially that 1 lap pace is pretty insane. That's the lap record in this car around here. I imagine next few rounds he'll be jumping on the podium and we'll be having battles. So good to have more drivers in the field.
Absolutely. And I suppose finally, then your thoughts for Hidden Valley. I
have a teammate that really, really likes that track, so I'm sure we'll have a great setup for it. In terms of the track itself, I don't love it or hate it. We did well there last year, given the... I think we did the no stop last year, and that worked out really well. I don't think that will work this year, but we'll see what happens in 3 weeks.
Alrighty, well, great by yourself tonight, Will. And I suppose what mattered was you picked up 300 points. Didn't matter the way you went around getting there. And we'll catch you in a few weeks' time at Hidden Valley.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And that has been our podium sitters.
Yeah, no. Yeah, good night of racing. Yeah, everyone kept it clean for the most part as soon as we got past the first corner. Yeah, a few individual issues, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, good night of racing. Saw a bit of strategy come into play. Don't always see that in these races, but yeah, no, it's quite good. So 3 weeks till we hit Hidden Valley. That'll be a interesting round, and yeah, we'll have Mr. Nether back in the driver's seat for these streams.
We will, yeah, and but the next broadcast for On the Edge is now in 2 weeks' time rather than 3 weeks' time, and it'll be Dev Series at Hidden Valley, and you'll see me in the place I'm better suited on an On the Edge broadcast, which is in the driver's seat, having an absolute wobble, somehow losing a Super 3 championship again. And you'll be joined by I don't know who you've got on the cast for next broadcast. Probably Brandon Dostal, and you'll find yourself a third somewhere. Maybe you get Hans Brunswick back as a pit reporter again. I think that was pretty popular.
Yeah, no, we'll drag someone off the street. I mean, Coxie seems to be a pretty mainstay now the last couple of rounds, so we'll probably drag Coxie in, and yeah, we'll find what other wobbler wants to hop in, and yeah, just have a yap while cars race in the background.
Absolutely. Well, great to see all the guys that joined us for the stream tonight. And we will catch you for Supercars in 3 weeks' time back on Outworld Broadcasting. But otherwise, keep an eye on the Edge in 2 weeks' time for the next Dev Series broadcast. And I will leave the site to you, actually, because this is your stream. But thank you for having me on board. Thank you for having me on the Edge.
Yeah,
for tonight, Laurie.
Yeah, no, it was a good night. Yeah, I'm glad we could at least keep a stream running while Nether has other things in life to do. Be glad to have him back next round. Because his quality's definitely higher than this, but it was good to keep it going. Thanks for everyone who's watching. We had actually a good amount of people, about 15, 16 I think at the peak. Signing out. Cheers.
Number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel. Oh, but watch this! Ambrose has blocked him on the inside. Escape now left with no option but to let him pass.
To be number one these days, you have to go to the extreme. KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal. Start with a whole fillet zinger burger, then top it with a piece of chicken, chips, potato and gravy, and a Pepsi.
That's the last time I let you in, mate.
KFC's Extreme Zinger Meal.
An important pit stop escape now, pulling into refuel.